Chapter 1363. In the Arena of the Hidden Dragon Fortress. Senior Brother Zhao, I'm sorry. After apologizing, Huang Yan's perfect mastery of the law of speed allowed him to appear in front of Zhao Lei at lightning speed. His top-grade Saint Stage sword was aimed at Zhao Lei's 9 vital points. Zhao Lei, who had successfully comprehended the law of defense and reached the perfect mastery of the law of speed, did not panic at all. The sudden increase in defense of his 9 vital points allowed him to successfully block the attack of his opponent's sword. At the same time, he used a special weapon with barbs in his hand to smash Huang Yan's shoulder. However, a yellow light flashed and deflected the barbs. Huang Yan took the opportunity to take a few steps back and widen the distance between them. Looking at the relaxed Zhao Lei, Huang Yan could not help but feel relieved. He was relieved that Zhao Lei had only comprehended the law of defense and not the law of defense. Otherwise, he would not be able to hurt Zhao Lei even if he tired himself to death. Drizzle, putting away his joy, Huang Yan once again used the perfect mastery of the law of speed and a low-grade heaven-class sword technique to attack Zhao Lei. With the protection of the perfect mastery of the law of defense, Zhao Lei easily blocked his opponent's attack while looking for his opponent's weakness. Just as Huang Yan's swordsmanship had run out of energy and had yet to generate new energy, the special magical artifact with barbs in his hand directly smashed into his opponent's wrist, taking away a piece of flesh along with it. The injury made Huang Yan's heart sink. He endured the pain of his wrist being torn and used the power of the law of perfection to widen the distance between them. Huang Yan raised his head and said to the ranking board, "I admit defeat." Then he turned and flew out of the arena. He consumed an elixir and used the time to heal his injury. Brother Yan, seeing the injured Huang Yan, the yellow-clothed girl shouted with tears in her eyes. However, the kind old man could not help but nod and say softly to the yellow-clothed girl, "If you know what to do, you can't do it. Yenner already has the ability to take over the position of the patriarch. Even if you know that it's impossible, you should still make a decision." Fifth Grandpa, aren't you disappointed in Brother Yan's failure? The kind old man's evaluation surprised the yellow-clothed girl, but she also asked in confusion, "Little girl, with Yan Er's outstanding performance just now, I won't be disappointed even if we lose all the remaining matches." The benevolent old man laughed heartily. Yu Haoran looked at Huang Yan, who was healing himself with pills, with a look of admiration in his eyes. He was neither arrogant nor haughty, decisive and calm. In the future, he might not become a top expert, but he would definitely become an outstanding and qualified leader. Retracting his gaze from Huang Yan, Yu Haoran immediately turned his attention to the ring, because the next match was between Qin Lingfei, who was ranked 59th, and Gu Li, who was ranked 42nd. Not only was Gu Li a monstrous genius with the strength of a third tribulation quasi-martial honorable, but he was also the younger brother of Gu Sheng, who was ranked first on the list. He was a very troublesome and dangerous opponent. Therefore, just before Qin Lingfei was forcibly brought to the ring, he secretly gave her 3 drops of 1,000 drug liquid in case of an emergency. Qin Lingfei greets Senior Brother Gu. Bowing slightly, Qin Lingfei greeted him courteously. "Miss, do you have anyone you like now?" Gu Li's eyes burned with a majestic flame as he asked. Ever since she had gotten married, Qin Lingfei had not covered her face with a silk veil. Furthermore, after that kind of nourishment, her entire body exuded an enchanting temperament. If it had not been for her noble birth and the deterrence of Yu Haoran and Emperor Qin, her suitors would have filled the entire Xianyang city. This was also the reason why Kang Yong-ah was unwilling to stay with them. Therefore, after seeing Qin Lingfei's appearance and temperament up close, Gu Li suddenly had a crazy idea in his heart. He must obtain this woman in front of him. I hope Senior Brother will know your limits. Lingfei is already married. Gu Li's eyes flashed with a blatant possessiveness, causing Qin Lingfei's face to instantly darken. Her tone was no longer as polite as before. Who married you? This young master will definitely kill him." Hearing that Qin Lingfei was already married, Guli immediately furiously shouted, "It's your grandfather!" Infatuated with Qin Ling Fei's appearance and temperament, Yu Haoran was not angry. After all, his wife was so outstanding. However, wanting to kill him and have Qin Ling Fei for himself, this thoroughly aroused the killing intent in Yu Haoran's heart. Taking a step forward, he took the initiative to answer for Qin Ling Fei. The finals were under the supervision of the 7 venerables from the Hidden Dragon Fortress. No one present dared to interfere with the competition on the ring, so there was no need to set up any defensive barriers. Therefore, Yu Haoran's loud response immediately alarmed Guli. "Kid, immediately break off the engagement with her. Otherwise, this young master will definitely pull out your tendons, peel off your skin, suck your blood, and then cut you into pieces." "Come on." Faced with Gu Li's blatant threat, Yu Haoran provoked him with a crooked finger. Gu Li, who was blinded by his anger, actually ignored the ongoing competition and rushed straight towards Yu Haoran, who was below the ring. However, just as he was about to reach the edge of the ring, a figure instantly appeared in front of Yu Haoran, glaring at Gu Li with a gloomy face. "Big brother." Seeing Gu Xing suddenly appear in front of him, fear instantly replaced the crazed Gu Li. After sobering up, his eyes revealed reverence as he shouted, "Get back to the competition immediately," Gu Sheng sternly rebuked. Subsequently, he turned around and looked at Yu Haoran, speaking in a condescending manner. "It's that woman's fortune that my brother has taken a liking to her. It's her fortune to be able to marry into my Gu clan. If you know what's good for you, immediately break off the engagement with her. Who the hell do you think you are? And what is the Gu clan?" Gu Sheng and his brother's attitude caused the murderous aura in Yu Haoran's heart to surge to its peak. He looked at Gu Sheng with a gaze full of contempt and directly scolded him. "Kid, do you want to die?" Ever since Gu Sheng revealed his astonishing cultivation talent, this was the first time someone had insulted him to his face. He couldn't help but angrily rebuke. What right does an ant-like existence have to decide the life and death of this prince consort? With a wave of his sleeve, Yu Haoran ridiculed even more contemptuously. "Kid, do you dare to fight in the ring?" Yu Haoran's continuous disdainful insults also caused Gu Sheng's murderous aura to reach its peak. Like Gu Li, he directly challenged Gu Sheng to a fight. "Killing you is like killing a dog." While continuing to ridicule him, Yu Haoran raised his hand and pointed at the 7 people sitting on the dragon throne in midair. His tone was similarly impolite as he reminded Gu Sheng. Chapter 1364. In the central square of the Hidden Dragon Fortress. Bang! The black-robed elder slapped the armrest of the black dragon throne and scolded angrily. "Yu Haoran, what did you just say?" "Old man, since you're already deaf, then just obediently stay at home and wait for death. Don't come out and put on an act to embarrass yourself." Faced with the black-robed old man's angry rebuke, Yu Haoran also directly retorted. He decided to break off all pretense of cordiality because he was completely driven mad by the other party's attitude. They deliberately lowered his ranking and increased the difficulty of the competition. He could endure this loss because he had the strength and means to slap them in the face. However, Gu Li's harassment of Qin Ling Fei and Gu Sheng's oppression of him were obviously breaking the rules of the competition. Not only did the 7 venerables not stop them, but they also silently acquiesced. How could he not be angry and choose to break off all pretense of cordiality? Yu Haoran's scolding made the black-robed elder stand up and threaten him with murderous intent. "Boy, I think you're tired of living." TSK. Facing the black-robed elder's threat, Yu Haoran sneered disdainfully and then provoked him by hooking his finger. "Old man, do you dare to make a move?" Although the black-robed elder and the others could control the list condensed by the Hidden Dragon luck, they couldn't really control the Hidden Dragon luck. Therefore, some of the rules formed by the Hidden Dragon Providence, even the 7 venerables in the air had to abide by them. Especially after the 7-color dragon that symbolized the Hidden Dragon Providence entered their bodies, they did not dare to attack them during the competition. Puff! Facing Yu Haoran's provocation, The black-robed elder couldn't wait to smash him into a meat patty and tear him into pieces. However, a trace of murderous intent suddenly appeared from the list above his head, forcing him to forcibly suppress the anger in his heart. However, the anger caused by not being humiliated for hundreds of years was too strong. While he forcibly suppressed it, it also caused a backlash to his anger and mind. In the end, he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood, and his face instantly turned pale. Cursing Gu Sheng and the Gu family, and humiliating the 7 venerables who controlled the hidden dragon ranking, Yu Haoran's audacity made everyone present tremble in fear. Yu Haoran's craziness caused everyone present to suck in a breath of cold air when they saw Yu Haoran provoking the black-robed old man, a peerless powerhouse at the peak of the martial saint realm. In the arena, seeing that Yu Haoran didn't hesitate to curse Gu Sheng, who was ranked first on the ranking list, and even dared to humiliate and insult the black-robed venerable from the Hidden Dragon Fortress, Qin Lingfei was deeply moved, and only one thought remained in her mind. If Yu Haoran was killed because of this, she would immediately chase after him and continue to serve him in the underworld. Seeing Yu Haoran glaring angrily at the 7 venerables in the air, the sword without trace revealed a joyful smile. She knew that the man she liked was indeed an indomitable man. Kang Yong'a's eyes revealed a trace of gratitude and regret. She was moved by Yu Haoran's righteousness and regretted her unreasonable provocation. Walking to Yu Haoran's side, Wu Zhenjun looked at Gu Sheng with eyes full of killing intent. He then raised his head to look at the 7 venerables in the air and said coldly, "If you want to kill my senior, you have to step over my dead body, Wu Zhengjun." Wu Zhengjun's righteousness without regard for life and death made the hearts of countless people tremble. They looked at him with admiration and looked at Yu Haoran with envy. "Your Majesty, what should we do?" Yu Haoran's audacity had been witnessed countless times in Xianyang City. Therefore, Meng Zhengkai wasn't shocked at all. He was only thinking of how to resolve the predicament in front of him. If the Gu clan and the 7 venerables of the Hidden Dragon Fortress make a move against the Prince Consort, then I will bring the entire Emperor Qin's kingdom to the grave with him. Emperor Qin didn't lower his voice as he spoke. "Father," after hearing Emperor Qin's declaration of mutual destruction, Yu Haoran felt his eyes turn slightly red as he softly called out. Glancing at Emperor Qin with disdain, the purple-clothed middle-aged man ordered the black-robed old man. "Black Venerable, sit down." "Yes, Amethyst Venerable." After hurriedly answering the order, the black-robed old man sat back on his dragon throne while wiping the remaining blood from the corner of his mouth. "Young man, do you think that we, who are also restricted by the Hidden Dragon Fortune, can't do anything to you?" After the black-robed old man sat back on his black dragon throne, the purple-clothed middle-aged man asked Yu Haoran with a faint smile on his face. "That's right." To this, Yu Haoran didn't deny it and nodded in agreement. "Young man, you're wrong." Although Yu Haoran's honest attitude made the purple-clothed middle-aged man very satisfied, the dignity of the venerable hidden dragon was an iron law. Therefore, although the purple-clothed middle-aged man still had a smile on his face, his following words were filled with a thick, killing intent. "If I want you to die, I have hundreds and thousands of ways to do so. To be called a venerable in the Tianxian continent, other than the strength of a martial venerable, one also needs to have a reputation that can convince the world." Faced with the purple-clothed, middle-aged man's threat that contained killing intent, Yu Haoran's counterattack was still beyond everyone's expectations. "Although your strength is very strong, your character is too bad. Therefore, in the eyes of Yu Haoran, you're not worthy of being called a venerable. At the same time, I don't know your name, so I can only call you He." Ignoring the purple-clothed, middle-aged man's gloomy expression, Yu Haoran continued speaking. "Hey, just use whatever methods you have. This prince consort will receive them." Bang! A dignified martial venerable at the peak of the 9th grade, the person in charge of the Southern Region Hidden Dragon ranking battle, actually only received a hey from Yu Haoran. The purple-clothed, middle-aged man suddenly slapped the purple dragon throne's armrest and stood up. Then, he angrily said good 3 times. Good, good, good. Then, the purple-clothed middle-aged man immediately formed a seal with his 10 fingers. The seal quickly merged with the ranking list above his head. The names that had merged with Qin Lingfei's and Gu Li's bodies reappeared and quickly merged with the ranking list. Glancing at Qin Lingfei and Gu Li in the arena, the purple-clothed middle-aged man coldly ordered, "Both of you get down." Just a glance was enough to cause Qin Lingfei's mind to suffer a heavy blow. She spat out a mouthful of blood and was immediately sent flying out of the arena. You only know how to bully the weak to show your strength. It looks like the highest achievement in your life is this. Chapter 1365. In the central square of the Hidden Dragon Fortress. Boy, you will definitely die today. After the end of the 5 regions Hidden Dragon ranking battle, it was the perfect time for the heavenly way to fall into a deep slumber. All living things took the opportunity to achieve heaven-defying actions. With the help of the hundreds of years of bitter cultivation in the Hidden Dragon Fortress that had gathered the Hidden Dragon Providence, the purple-clad middle-aged expert already had the hope of breaking through to the almighty martial emperor realm. However, Yu Haoran's earlier humiliation made him feel as if his hopes of reaching the martial emperor realm had been shrouded in a dark shadow. This caused him to roar furiously. What a pity! Hey, you keep repeating the same words over and over again. Just because you didn't say them doesn't mean that I didn't hear them. Seeing that Qin Lingfei's mind was not seriously injured, Yu Haoran, whose anger subsided a little, waved his hand beside his ear and said sarcastically with an annoyed expression. Yu Haoran's mocking words and actions made the countless spectators in the stands laugh. However, they didn't dare to laugh because of the purple-robed, middle-aged man's strength. They could only forcefully endure it, which made the atmosphere immediately become strange. Phew! After taking 9 deep breaths, the purple-robed, middle-aged expert barely suppressed his anger that was on the verge of exploding. Then he sat straight on the purple dragon throne and looked at Yu Haoran with gloomy and cold eyes. After Qin Lingfei and Gu Li left the arena, Yu Haoran's name suddenly flew out of the list and merged into his body, forcibly bringing him to the arena. Then, Chang Jinzong's name, who had participated in the first round of the finals, also flew out of the list and merged into and forcibly brought him to the arena. We'll battle. After seeing Chang Jinzong forcibly brought to the arena, Emperor Qin suddenly stood up and looked directly at the purple-robed middle-aged expert and said with gritted teeth, "That's right." Turning his head to look at Emperor Qin, who stood up angrily, the purple-robed middle-aged expert nodded and said proudly at the same time, "Although we 7 venerables can't kill this boy personally, I can use the Hidden Dragon luck to change some of the rules of the competition and let him die tragically in the wheel battle of the 99 contestants." You, faced with the purple-robed middle-aged man's shameless pride, Emperor Qin was so angry that he was speechless. "Imperial Father, please calm down for now." Yu Haoran turned around and comforted Emperor Qin. "He's just a clown. I don't care about him, and he's not worth your anger." After comforting Chang Jinzong, Yu Haoran took out his white staff, which was at the upper level of the venerable realm, and pointed it at Chang Jinzong. "Either surrender or die." In the face of Yu Haoran's blatant threat, Chang Jinzong first raised his head to look at the purple-robed, middle-aged expert in the air, then looked at Yu Haoran, who was pointing his staff at him. Chang Jinzong's expression was very depressed as he bitterly smiled. Then he took out an ordinary medium-grade Saint Stage sword and cupped his hands in a pleading manner with a solemn and stirring expression in his eyes. "Yu Shixiao, I have no choice. Please show mercy. There's a path to heaven, but you don't want to take it. There's no door to hell, but you chose to come." Seeing that Chang Jinzong did not accept the painful lesson of the first match and still thought that he would not dare to kill him, Yu Haoran replied coldly, "Chang Jinzong, since you've chosen this path to hell, don't blame me, Yu Haoran, for being ruthless." The white staff in his hand, combined with the physical strength of the ancestral sorcerer, smashed Chang Jinzong into a pile of meat paste with a simple move. Yu Haoran killed Chang Jianzong mercilessly. Not only was the crowd not shocked or disgusted, but they also agreed with and appreciated his approach. After all, it was the best way to deal with a tag team battle by using merciless killing to intimidate some opponents who thought they were lucky enough to take the initiative to admit defeat after entering the ring so that they could maintain their peak state. Therefore, even Chang Jianzong's relatives and friends felt extremely sad in the face of his death. The target of their hatred was not Yu Haoran. Instead, it was the purple-robed, middle-aged expert who was sitting on the purple dragon throne. As Yu Haoran withdrew his white staff, Chang Jianzong's name flew out of the meat paste with a 98-meter-long rainbow dragon and a 1-meter-long rainbow dragon. After Yu Haoran's 1-meter-long rainbow dragon successfully swallowed his opponent's 1-meter-long rainbow dragon, Chang Jianzong's name and the rainbow dragon merged and disappeared from a list. Then, the name ranked 99th on the list left the list and merged and forcibly brought Wang Qing into the ring. Either admit defeat or die. Yu Haoran also raised his staff and pointed at Wang Qing as he threatened him. Looking back and forth between the purple-robed, middle-aged expert and Yu Haoran, Wang Qing's eyes were filled with deep helplessness and a trace of nameless anger. The target of the nameless fury was the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert who was high up in the air, as well as the merciless Yu Haoran. If it were not for the purple-robed, middle-aged expert and the rest's tacit consent, Guli would not have dared to harass Qin Lingfei so openly, and Gu Sheng would not have bullied Yu Haoran so unreasonably. If it were not for Yu Haoran's lawless character, the purple-robed middle-aged expert would not have forcefully changed the rules of the final competition and put himself in a dilemma. However, when he saw the meat paste at his feet from the corner of his eyes, his helplessness and nameless anger were immediately replaced by fear. He quickly cupped his hands and said to the list above his head, "I admit defeat." Umph. The purple-robed middle-aged expert glared at Wang Qing unhappily and could not help but snort coldly. However, no matter how angry the purple-robed middle-aged expert was, Wang Qing's name left his body along with a 1-meter-long rainbow dragon when he admitted defeat. After the 1-meter-long rainbow dragon was devoured by Yu Haoran's 1-meter-long rainbow dragon, Wang Qing's name was merged back into the list. After cupping his hands at Yu Haoran, Wang Qing turned around and left the arena. After returning to the central square, he had been watching the purple-robed, middle-aged expert anxiously. He did not know when his punishment would come. However, when the contestants ranked 98th, 97th, and 96th also admitted defeat, and the purple-robed middle-aged expert did not take any revenge, Wang Qing finally heaved a sigh of relief. Chang Jianzong's death and Wang Qing's and the other contestants' safety had pointed out the best path for the following contestants. From a 95th contestant to the 61st contestant on the list, all of them admitted defeat the moment they stepped into the arena. This allowed Yu Haoran to maintain his peak condition while the rainbow dragon in his body reached a length of 139 meters. Under normal circumstances, there were a total of 40 contestants from the 61st to the 100th contestant. The rainbow dragon that was devoured and obtained should be 40 meters long. Chapter 1366. In the arena of the hidden dragon fortress. Either you admit defeat or you die. Yu Haoran repeated the words he had said for the 39th time as he faced Huang Yin, who had just stepped into the arena. Huang Yin did not raise his head to look at the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert in the air. He looked directly at Yu Haoran, who was holding an upper-grade Venerable Realm staff, with a struggling expression in his eyes. Admit defeat, Yin-er. You must admit defeat. Seeing the struggling expression in Huang Yan's eyes, the kind old man on the south side of the stands could not help but pray in a low voice. "Fifth Grandpa, does Yu Haoran dare to kill Brother Yin?" Hearing the kind old man's prayer, the yellow-clothed girl asked in disbelief. "Girl, Chang Jianzong's body is still in the arena." The kind old man pointed at the pile of meat 2 meters away from Huang Yin and reminded her. "Fifth Grandpa, Yu Haoran dared to kill Chang Jianzong directly. That was just a means to kill a chicken to scare the monkeys. Does he dare to kill all the contestants who refused to admit defeat. After glancing at the pile of meat on the arena, a trace of fear flashed in the yellow-clothed girl's eyes. She still could not believe it and refuted. "Girl, that's because you don't know Yu Haoran's character." Facing the yellow-clothed girl's refutation, the kind old man looked at Yu Haoran with admiration and envy in his eyes. With Yu Haoran's courage, not to mention these contestants, even the son of the heavenly palace of the Yushu Temple and the heir of the top family of inheritance will definitely die if they provoke him. Fifth Grandpa, isn't Yu Haoran afraid of being retaliated after this? Hearing the kind old man's evaluation of Yu Haoran's courage, the yellow-clothed girl's heart trembled slightly. At the same time, she asked worriedly for some reason. "Girl, ever since Yu Haoran showed his talent, he gave people two feelings." Seeing Yu Haoran looking at Huang Yan with indifference while holding the staff, the benevolent old man explained with a trace of doubt in his eyes. "My first feeling is that he is omniscient and omnipotent in alchemy, as if there is no alchemy pill in this world that he doesn't know and can't refine. The second feeling is that he has countless trump cards and treasures. Every time you think he is at the end of his rope, he will have a way to turn the tables." The kind old man's explanation caused the yellow-clothed girl to look at Yu Haoran with an extremely curious expression. There was not a trace of emotion in his indifferent eyes. Huang Yin believed that if he did not take the initiative to admit defeat, he would end up like Chang Jianzhou. Although he wanted to fight against an expert like Yu Haoran to expand his horizons, improve his cultivation base, and increase his experience in dealing with enemies, compared to his own life, all of that was clearly not important. Therefore, after an intense internal struggle, Huang Yin finally shook his head with a bitter smile. He then raised his head and spoke to the list in the air. "I admit defeat." After the 1-meter-long rainbow dragon finished devouring, he cupped his hands and said to Yu Haoran, "Yu Shixiang, if there's a chance in the future, Huang Yin still hopes to have a real fight with you." In response, Yu Haoran turned a blind eye and did not respond. Admiration was just admiration. It did not mean that he had any good impression of Huang Yin. In the future, it was even more impossible for him to guide Huang Yan's cultivation through a fight. Yu Haoran's indifference made Huang Yin sigh softly. He then turned around and flew out of the arena. The moment Huang Yin admitted defeat, the benevolent old man and the yellow-clothed girl in the stands could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. "I admit defeat." The contestant ranked 59th had just stepped into the arena. Before Yu Haoran could threaten to admit defeat or choose life or death, he directly admitted defeat. "Yu Shixiang, goodbye." After the 1-meter-long rainbow dragon had finished devouring, the contestant ranked 59th waved his hand and said goodbye. In response, Yu Haoran was slightly stunned. Then, a meaningful smile appeared on his face. However, the smile did not last for long, because the next contestant who was forcefully brought into the arena was Kong Yung-ah, ranked 58th. "Yu Shixiang, I have already discussed with Xiao Feng. We must use the opportunity of the final to teach you a lesson and let you know the consequences of being heartless." To everyone's surprise, although Kong Yung-ah did not pay attention to the purple-clothed middle-aged expert, she did not admit defeat directly. Instead, she began to threaten Yu Haoran. However, when they thought about how Yu Haoran had taken the initiative to block the purple-clothed middle-aged expert's terrifying aura for her, as well as the unusual relationship between the two, everyone knew that Kong Yung-ah was only threatening him verbally. She would definitely not affect Yu Haoran's next match. Kong Yung-ah's next words directly confirmed everyone's guess. However, considering that your current situation is not very good, Xiao Feng and I have decided to let you go for now. We will find a chance to teach you a lesson in the future. Without giving Yu Haoran any chance to speak, Kong Yung-ah raised her head and admitted defeat to the list in midair. "I admit defeat. Yu Shixiang, do your best." After the 1-meter-long rainbow dragon finished devouring, Kong Yung-ah clenched her fists and shouted loudly as she flew out of the arena. Nodding to Kong Yung-ah, who had flown out of the arena, Yu Haoran raised his head and looked at the purple-clothed middle-aged expert in midair. His eyes were still full of contempt and mockery. This made the purple-clothed middle-aged expert, who had just calmed down, almost lose control of his emotions. Fortunately, his strong mental state and cultivation forcefully suppressed his anger. As the 58th and 57th contestants admitted defeat, Yu Haoran welcomed another familiar opponent. Xiao Ran, when will you grow up? Looking at the tall and straight figure of Yu Haoran, who was vaguely emitting a trace of a king's aura, Yu Siki felt very gratified, but also had a headache, so she complained. Sister, I'm sorry. Knowing that his actions of offending the 7 venerables of the Hidden Dragon Fortress had made his sister worried and scared, Yu Haoran hurriedly apologized. Sigh. Facing Yu Haoran's unrefutable apology, Yu Siki suddenly couldn't bring herself to complain. She could only let out a long sigh and raise her head to the list in midair. I admit defeat. After waiting for the 1-meter-long rainbow dragon to finish devouring, Yu Siki reminded her as she left the arena, Xiao Ran, be careful. Nodding to Yu Siki to show that he understood, Yu Haoran watched her leave the arena, then directly looked at the sword without trace. This was because the sword without trace's ranking was very close to Kang Yong'a, Yu Siki, and Qin Lingfei, between the 50th and 60th place. Chapter 1367. Hidden Dragon Fortress Stage. Just like Kang Yong'a, the sword without trace didn't give Yu Haoran any chance to speak. He raised his head and admitted defeat to the leaderboard in the air. I admit defeat. After the 1-meter-long rainbow dragon finished devouring, the sword without trace waved his hand and was about to fly out of the stage. Yu Haoran suddenly spoke. I will do my best to clear all the obstacles in front of you. His body slightly shook as he turned around. The sword without trace looked at Yu Haoran with a trace of emotion in his eyes. Others might not understand the meaning of Yu Haoran's words. Even Qin Lingfei and Yu Siki might not understand, but she was very clear. Clear all the obstacles in front of her, which meant all the contestants ahead of her on the leaderboard. As long as they didn't admit defeat, they would either die or be seriously injured. In any case, they wouldn't be her opponent. Although she was very touched by Yu Haoran's loyalty, she didn't want him to take such risks and tire himself out. Therefore, when he turned around and left the stage, the sword without trace didn't hesitate to take the risk of being seen through by others. Do your best. Don't take risks. I will always be with you. Nodding his head, Yu Haoran watched the sword without trace leave the stage. He slowly closed his eyes, looking forward to the next contestant who wasn't afraid of death. Han Mingchen greets Yu Shixiao. The 54th contestant, Han Mingchen, who was forced onto the stage by the leaderboard, first raised his head and looked at the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert in the air. After a trace of flattery appeared in his eyes, he cupped his hands and saluted Yu Haoran. Either admit defeat or die. Slowly opening his eyes, Yu Haoran threatened with his staff. Facing Yu Haoran's threat, Han Mingchen took out his intrinsic sword and said with a smile, although Yu Shixiang is very strong, I still want to see senior brother's means. The perfected level of the fast rule, combined with the ancestral wizard's physical strength, allowed him to directly attack Han Mingchen's chest. Boom! Although Han Mingchen, who had also comprehended the law of speed, had used his intrinsic sword to block the incoming staff, the huge difference between his strength and his Dharma artifact caused his intrinsic sword to be instantly damaged. At the same time, he was also forced back 9 steps by the powerful recoil. He did not stop at all and continued to perform the Mount Tai Crush. With the weight of the high-grade Venerable Realm magic weapon, coupled with the strength of the ancestral sorcerer's body and the staff technique, it smashed toward Han Mingchen like a real mountain. After being repelled in one move, Han Mingchen was distressed that his intrinsic sword was damaged. At the same time, he regretted taking the risk to provoke Yu Haoran in order to get the benefits promised by the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert. Therefore, in the face of Yu Haoran's second attack, which was more powerful, he did not have time to feel distressed. He used his intrinsic sword to block and wanted to admit defeat at the same time. However, the sudden acceleration of the staff technique attack made him only say the word, I, before he was smashed in a meat paste by the high-grade Venerable Realm white staff. Yu Haoran, A middle-aged expert from the center of the west side of the stands abruptly stood up and roared with gritted teeth the moment he saw Han Mingshun being smashed into a meat paste. Feeling the strong, murderous intent from the west stand, Yu Haoran immediately turned around and looked at the middle-aged expert who stood up angrily. At the same time, he slowly raised the white staff in his hand. Yu Haoran, you'd better stay in the Hidden Dragon Fortress for the rest of your life. Otherwise, Han Qinyuan, will definitely take your life. In the face of Yu Haoran's provocation with the staff, the middle-aged expert threatened him with a gloomy look. I'll be waiting, Yu Haoran replied indifferently as he withdrew the white staff. Then, he turned around again and closed his eyes, allowing the 1-meter-long 7-color dragon to devour his opponent's 1-meter-long 7-color dragon. Zhang Yurue greets Yu Shixiao. After Zhang Yurue, who was ranked 53rd on the list, was forcibly brought into the arena, he looked at the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert with a flattering look in his eyes, just like Han Mingshun just now. Then, he greeted Yu Haoran solemnly. Either you admit defeat or you die. While continuing to threaten with the staff, Yu Haoran frowned slightly. Then, he looked up at the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert in midair and suddenly understood something. After watching Yu Shixiang's 2 matches just now, I realized that senior brother seems to be better at speed and strength. Coincidentally, I also know a little about speed and strength. Why don't we compare notes? Zhang Yurue said with a chuckle as he took out a lower Venerable Realm double-ring broadsword. Originally, he had only used 50% of the strength of the wizard ancestor's body. After guessing the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert's means and Zhang Yurue's fearless provocation, he immediately increased it to 70%. He did not use the complete realm of the law of speed. Instead, he used 70% of the strength of the wizard ancestor's body together with the white staff of the upper Venerable Realm. As he jumped up gently, he directly smashed the staff technique at Zhang Yurue. Mountain break. Faced with a mountain-like white staff, Zhang Yurue did not use the law of speed that he had comprehended to dodge. Instead, he directly mobilized all of his Yuan Qi and soul power to perform a saber technique that combined attack and defense. He intended to break Yu Haoran's staff technique that had been used 3 times in a row. Boom! The white staff and the double-ringed broadsword collided, instantly forming a loud roar. Crack! Accompanied by the loud roar, several crisp sounds of bones breaking and painful screams were heard. Zhang Yurue's so-called research on strength was more about the double-ringed broadsword that he used. The strength that he possessed was very ordinary, and his physical body had just broken through to the first-grade martial sage. Therefore, under the attack of Yu Haoran's enhanced strength of the wizard ancestor's body, not only was the double-ringed broadsword slightly damaged, but the bones of the arms that held the broadsword were also directly broken. Similarly, without any pause, Yu Haoran, who had just landed in the arena, performed a basic staff technique, the total annihilation, and directly broke Zhang Yurue's waist. Yu Haoran reached out and sucked up the double-ringed broadsword that had fallen to the ground. He was pleasantly surprised to find that the double-ringed broadsword was not only of the lower-grade martial sage, but also of the weapon's spirit. However, the weapon's spirit should have been severely injured and had been in a state of deep sleep. Fouling, can it be repaired? Yu Haoran pretended to carefully observe the double-ringed broadsword as he questioned the fouling in the sea of consciousness. Directly give it to Zhengjun. The bloodthirsty physique has a murderous aura that can help the weapon's spirit completely recover. With just a glance, the fouling directly gave the method of recovering the weapon's spirit. Yu Haoran, immediately return the fallen mountain saber to me. I promise that I will not hold you responsible for killing Zhang Yujing. Just as Yu Haoran was about to throw the double-ringed broadsword to Wu Zhijun, a white-haired elder in green clothes in the middle of the east side of the stands promised. Chapter 1368. On the east stand of the Hidden Dragon Fortress, Yu Haoran's indifferent and dismissive gaze and his action of putting away his weapon made the white-haired old man stand up abruptly, and he threatened fiercely at the same time. Yu Haoran, Do you want to be enemies with me and the entire Zhang clan? Are you very powerful? Is the Zhang clan very powerful? Yu Haoran asked contemptuously. Facing Yu Haoran's contemptuous question, the white-haired old man didn't know how to refute it. After all, Yu Haoran dared to offend the 7 venerables of the Hidden Dragon Fortress. The Zhang clan, which had only been around for 30,000 years, couldn't threaten him. Boring. Seeing the white-haired old man speechless, Yu Haoran shrugged and said disdainfully. Then, he turned around and looked at the contestant who had just been forcefully brought to the arena. First, he looked up at the purple-robed, middle-aged man in the air. Then he looked at the meat paste and corpses on the arena. The contestant ranked 52nd on the ranking list hesitated. Admit defeat or die. Ignoring the hesitation in his opponent's eyes, Yu Haoran continued to threaten him. I admit defeat. Although the purple-robed, middle-aged man's promise was very tempting, compared to his own life, any promise was illusory. Therefore, the hesitation in the contestant's eyes was immediately replaced by determination. Then, he admitted defeat to the ranking list in the air. When the contestant ranked 50th on the ranking list admitted defeat, Yu Haoran immediately looked up at the purple-robed, middle-aged man in the air with a complacent look in his eyes. Oomph. Facing the contestant who he had promised to give up voluntarily and Yu Haoran's complacent look, the purple-robed, middle-aged man snorted unhappily. Then, he looked at the ranking list above his head and ignored Yu Haoran's complacent mockery and provocation. Prince Consort, Qin Lingfei, who had been forcefully brought to the stage, walked straight to Yu Haoran and hugged him tightly in front of everyone's eyes. She then whispered a promise into his ear. If you die, Ling Fei will accompany you. Yu Haoran reached out and patted her shoulder as he comforted her with a smile. Silly girl. The person who can kill your husband, Yu Haoran, hasn't been born yet. Hearing Yu Haoran's domineering reply, Qin Ling Fei couldn't help but chuckle. She loosened her arms and took a few steps back. Then, she raised her head and said to the list in the air, I admit defeat. Qin Ling Fei hugged him again after the 1-meter-long rainbow dragon finished its devouring process and merged back into Qin Ling Fei's body. Then, Qin Ling Fei flew out of the ring. After watching Qin Ling Fei leave the ring, Yu Haoran took a deep breath. Then he directly raised the strength of the ancestral witch's physical body to its peak. This was because from the 50th place onwards, the contestant's strength had not only reached the 3rd Tribulation Quasi-Martial Saint realm or above, but the martial skills and battle experience, they had far surpassed the contestants below the 50th place. This was also the main reason why the contestants below the 50th place had taken the initiative to admit defeat in the first round of the finals. Brother Yu, the contestant who had been forcefully brought to the stage by the ranking list, greeted Yu Haoran with a smile. Gu Quan. Looking at the young man who had lost an arm, Yu Haoran immediately recalled who the young man in front of him was. He had heard of the armless swordsman Gu Quan in his previous life and had come into contact with him in the future. He didn't expect that in less than a year, Gu Quan's cultivation had not only reached the peak of the 9th grade martial saint realm, but also had the strength to enter the 50th place on the ranking list. Brother Gu, since he knew Gu Quan, and he was also a pawn used to harass the Yushu Temple, Yu Haoran did not threaten him like he did with the other contestants. Brother Yu, although I have always believed that man can conquer the heavens, and I also believe that as long as one is willing to go all out, one's innate talent and potential are not important, Brother Yu's stunning performance has completely changed my thinking. Yu Haoran's preferential treatment caused Gu Quan to be overjoyed, and he could not help but sigh emotionally. Brother Gu, how do you know that I didn't risk my life to exchange for my current achievements? Seeing that Gu Quan's willpower was very low, how could Yu Haoran, who still needed to use him to distract the Yushu Temple's energy, watch as Gu Quan sank into despair? He hurriedly asked with a solemn expression, Brother Yu, what do you mean? Yu Haoran's solemn question made Gu Quan very interested. 90% chance of survival, Yu Haoran replied, giving Gu Quan unlimited confidence. Thank you for your explanation, Brother Yu. Gu Quan took out his Saint Stage upper-level natal saber with his right hand and thanked Yu Haoran with the highest courtesy. "Brother Gu, you don't have to be so polite." After replying to Gu Quan's highest courtesy, Yu Haoran's eyes revealed a trace of hesitation. In the end, he could not help but ask, "Gu Quan, what is your relationship with the Gu clan?" In the Tianxian continent, there were very few warriors with the surname Gu. At least in his previous life, he had met and heard of less than 10 warriors with the surname Gu. Moreover, they all came from the same clan. Therefore, Yu Haoran suspected that Gu Quan might have a special relationship with the Gu clan, an arrogant, conceited trash clan that does not know how to make progress. I, Gu Quan, have no relationship with them. When he heard Yu Haoran ask about his relationship with the Gu clan, Gu Quan's expression changed, and he did not hesitate to use humiliating means to deny it. Hearing Gu Quan's humiliation of the Gu clan, Gu Sheng's eyes immediately revealed a thick murderous aura as he muttered to himself, "Bastard! Brother Gu, I'm sorry." Seeing Gu Quan's intense reaction, Yu Haoran knew that his question just now had touched Gu Quan's sore spot. He hurriedly cupped his hands and apologized. "I admit defeat." Waving his hand to indicate that he was fine, Gu Quan raised his head and admitted defeat to the leaderboard. However, when he rose into the air and left the stage, Gu Quan suddenly left behind a sentence that caused the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert's expression to change and caused the surrounding spectators to look down on the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert. "Brother Yu, be careful of a certain expert's scheme." Through Han Mingxian and Zhang Yurui's reckless provocation, although I had already guessed that person's despicable and shameless methods, I still have to thank Brother Gu for taking the risk to warn me. Yu Haoran was deeply moved by Gu Quan's life-threatening warning. He cupped his hands and thanked Gu Quan. Looking at Gu Quan, who rose into the air and left the stage, the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert's eyes flashed with a trace of cold light. He immediately decided to use the competition's rules to kill Gu Quan. As the 49th ranked contestant was himself, the contestant that was forcefully brought to the stage was the 48th ranked Lei Sinyu. Do it. Perhaps it was because his ranking was higher than Yu Haoran's, or perhaps it was because the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert promise was tempting. Lei Sinyu, who had just landed on the stage. Chapter 1369. In the arena of the hidden dragon fortress, Yu Haoran possessed an upper-grade venerable realm staff weapon and had the strength to easily kill an early-grade, one martial revered realm peerless expert. The top experts around the stands did not dare to neglect Yu Haoran. Therefore, Lei Sinyu's arrogant behavior immediately attracted the ridicule and humiliation of countless spectators. Has this guy cultivated until he became stupid? How dare he be so arrogant and rude to an elixir emperor? An alchemy master who admired Yu Haoran's alchemy skills not only mocked Lei Sinyu loudly, but also called Yu Haoran elixir emperor in advance. Not only did the people around the alchemy master not object, but they also nodded vigorously in agreement. No, I don't think this Lei guy is cultivated until he became stupid. It's very likely that he was born stupid. I just don't know how he cultivated to this level. Prince Consort, don't show any mercy. Smash him in a meat paste with one strike. The middle-aged man in purple used the method of taking turns to fight Yu Haoran, which made Meng Zhengkai suppress an unknown anger in his heart. When he saw Lei Sinyu, who was only ranked 48th on the list and was only a third tribulation quasi-martial venerable, being so arrogant and rude, he immediately shouted at Yu Haoran loudly. Listen to Elder Meng's orders. After hearing Meng Zhengkai's loud request, Yu Haoran turned his head and replied with a smile. When he turned his head back, he immediately replaced his smile with indifference and attacked directly. He had just comprehended the law of flash in the fire attribute independent space and merged it with the staff technique. Then, he used the Pear Blossom Storm staff technique taught by the staff weapon spirit. The staff weapon instantly turned into thousands of white sticks and enveloped Lei Sinyu. It also made it so that the spectators around the stands could not see Lei Sinyu's appearance, who was enveloped by the staff technique. After a series of storm-like attacks, Yu Haoran immediately withdrew his staff and retreated 9 meters. Then there were sounds of people sucking in cold breaths. Although Chang Jianzong and Zhang Yurui were both smashed into meat paste by the white stick magic tool. But in any case, they at least left behind some flesh and blood, which could be collected and buried afterwards. As for Lei Sinyu, if it weren't for the low-grade Venerable Realm Hammer, Lei Sinyu's name, and the 7-color dragon, they would have suspected that Yu Haoran's attack was just air. The attack of the staff martial technique was actually able to forcefully destroy a person's body. This not only proved the strength of the staff martial technique just now, but also showed Yu Haoran's exquisite control of power. Yu Haoran ignored the process of the 1-meter-long rainbow dragon devouring Lei Sinyu. He retreated 9 meters back and closed his eyes tightly. He carefully recalled the realization that flashed through his mind when he used the Pear Blossom Torrential Rain Staff technique to attack Lei Sinyu. It was a brand new realization of the laws of 2 elements. At the same time, there was a strong feeling in his heart. If he could successfully comprehend the brand new dual elemental power of law, not only would he be able to further enhance the attack power of the ancestral wizard's physical body, but he would also be able to fully receive all of the memories of the 12 ancestral wizards from ancient times. Unfortunately, after Lei Sinyu's name and the 7-color dragon disappeared from the list, the 47th contestant on the list was also a guy who was blinded by greed. The moment he stood on the arena, he immediately took out the superior grade Saint Realm Natal Sword. Then he mobilized all of his origin power and soul power to cooperate with the Natal Sword that was integrated with the Law of Killing. He used a heaven-level middle stage sword technique that would injure both sides and went straight for Yu Haoran's vital point. He had clearly grasped the aura of the brand new dual elemental power of law, but he was interrupted by his opponent's sudden attack. This made Yu Haoran feel extremely depressed, but at the same time, endless anger surged in his heart. He informed the staff's weapon spirit with his mind and asked it to directly activate 1/3 of the staff's power. Yu Haoran continued to use the Pear Blossom Torrential Rain Staff technique that had just killed Lei Sinyu. He wanted to use this staff technique to directly destroy his opponent's body and also hoped to regain the realization of the brand new dual elemental power of law. With 1/3 of the power of the superior grade Venerable Realm magic weapon combined with the ancestral sorcerer's physical body and the staff technique, the power was barely close to the strength of a top martial venerable. It was the strength of an ordinary early-stage, 3rd-grade martial venerable. Therefore, while the staff technique easily dissolved the opponent's sword technique attack, the countless white staff attacks also made the opponent start to suffer the baptism of the staff technique that Lei Sinyu had just experienced. After the storm-like attacks, Yu Haoran withdrew his staff and took 9 steps back. He could not help but frown. Although he had used the Pear Blossom Torrential Rain Staff technique to successfully destroy his opponent's body, the opportunity to comprehend the brand new dual elemental power of law did not appear. This made him feel very depressed. However, this depressed mood did not last long. It disappeared as the 46th contestant on the list went on the stage. Yu Haoran, you didn't expect that Qin Mingho, would not only successfully break into the finals, but also have a higher final ranking than you. Looking at Yu Haoran, who was frowning slightly, Qin Mingho mistakenly thought that his appearance had shocked and puzzled him. He immediately showed off excitedly. However, when he saw Yu Haoran's eyebrows relax and a look of surprise in his eyes, he mistakenly thought that as an elite of the royal family, he would definitely take the initiative to admit defeat. He spoke with an even more arrogant expression. Yu Haoran, you're just a lowly person from a remote town. What right do you have to marry the most dazzling pearl of our great Emperor Qin Kingdom? What ability do you have to lead us, the elites of the royal family? You deserve to die. Qin Mingho's humiliation of Yu Haoran made Emperor Qin stand up abruptly. His eyes were filled with strong, murderous intent as he looked at Qin Mingho. Indecisiveness will only lead to chaos. Looking at the angry Emperor Qin, Meng Zhenkai could not help but sigh in his heart. With the help of the 4 Grade 9 martial venerable giant dragons, led by Qin Ling Fei, Emperor Qin could completely eliminate all the hidden dangers of the great Emperor Qin kingdom. However, in the face of the pleas of more than 10 princes and dukes, and the persuasion of his royal uncle, who was related to him by blood, the hidden dangers of the royal family were left behind in the end. Oh, the more Qin Mingho crossed the line, the less pressure and burden he would have to deal with him in the future. Therefore, in the face of Qin Mingho's humiliation, Yu Haoran was not angry at all. Instead, he asked with a smile, "Since I, Yu Haoran, am not qualified to lead you, then I wonder who is qualified? There is someone who is suitable to lead us. You don't have to worry about this." Qin Mingho replied calmly in the face of Yu Haoran's question. Understand, if Qin Mingho had said that he was qualified to lead the elite of the royal family, Yu Haoran might not have thought too much about it. However, Qin Mingho's answer made a figure flash through his mind immediately. Chapter 1370. In the arena of the hidden dragon fortress. Facing Yu Haoran's gaze, Qin Tianyi stretched out her hand and swiped at her neck. In response, Yu Haoran sneered contemptuously and shifted his gaze back to Qin Mingho. Facing Yu Haoran's accusation, Qin Mingho neither denied nor admitted. He only silently raised his head and looked at the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert, then took out a middle honorable realm sword. Qin Mingho, other than the middle honorable realm sword in your hand, the item in your dantian must have been given to you by Qin Tianyi, right? Looking at the middle honorable realm sword in Qin Mingho's hand, Yu Haoran's eyes flashed with a hint of seriousness as he continued to ask. Qin Mingho's body trembled slightly as he looked at Yu Haoran in disbelief. The purple spirit embryo fruit that was transplanted in his dantian was a treasure that he had obtained by accident in the hidden dragon wonderland. Not to mention Qin Tianyi, even his closest biological parents did not know about it. However, how did Yu Haoran know about the purple spirit embryo fruit? The purple spirit embryo fruit could help any talented cultivator to reach the peak of 9th grade martial honorable realm. It would definitely arouse the greed of countless experts. The secret that he had the rank 2 purple spirit embryo fruit could not be revealed no matter what. Therefore, Qin Mingho, who had already planned to kill Yu Haoran, was now filled with a strong desire to kill. Qin Mingho's overreaction made Yu Haoran realize that his guess was wrong. The purple spirit embryo fruit must have been an opportunity that belonged to Qin Mingho. In response, Yu Haoran secretly heaved a sigh of relief. If Qin Mingho's purple spirit embryo fruit was really given to him by Qin Tianyi, it must have come from the Green Hill Fox clan. With the cunning and cautious style of the Green Hill Fox clan, they would not be so kind as to give such a heaven-defying treasure. There must be something else in the purple spirit embryo fruit. He did not dare to let Thaling use it to recover his strength. Now that he knew that the purple spirit fetal fruit was fine, Yu Haoran could not be bothered to continue the conversation. However, before he killed Qin Mingho, he still needed to ask for Emperor Qin's opinion. After all, when the Emperor Qin was facing the threat of the purple-robed middle-aged man, he used the fate of himself and the entire Emperor Qin Empire to avenge him. This kindness made Yu Haoran have to respect his opinion. "Father, how should we deal with Qin Mingho?" "Kill." Without the slightest hesitation, Emperor Qin roared. Qin Mingho coldly raised his head and looked at Emperor Qin, who had shouted the word "kill." After a strong killing intent flashed in his eyes, a nameless sword technique that seemed ordinary but actually contained the power of a peak third tribulation quasi-martial venerable instantly pierced towards Yu Haoran. He immediately used the flash rule to avoid the sword technique's attack. Using 100% of the wizard ancestor's physical strength and his staff martial skill, he directly blasted the blade of the middle-grade venerable realm sword. The expected roar did not occur. When the weapons collided, a strong suction force suddenly formed from the middle-grade venerable realm sword and directly sucked the staff magic weapon. At the same time, another middle-grade venerable realm sword appeared in Qin Mingho's right hand. Qin Mingho's combat experience and the appearance of two middle-grade Venerable Realm swords shocked countless spectators. Emperor Qin looked directly at Qin Tianyi, who was on the north side of the arena. There was no trace of father-son affection in his eyes. There was only coldness and killing intent. Facing his father's cold gaze, Qin Tianyi lowered his head with a guilty conscience. However, after only 3 seconds, his guilty conscience was replaced by heartlessness. His eyes were also filled with coldness and murderous intent as he looked at the Qin Emperor. Master, it's the weapon spirit of the sword that's causing trouble. Although the staff spirit did not activate its own power this time, it immediately knew the real reason why it could not escape from the sword suction force. Deal with the sword spirit yourself. Yu Haoran instantly released his left hand that was holding the staff tightly. He immediately used the Wizard Fist skill to deal with the second middle-grade Venerable Realm sword and order the staff spirit at the same time. Yes, Master. Although the staff spirit and the sword spirit were only 1 grade apart, the difference in strength between the two was very large. The weapon spirit took over the control of the main body and instantly broke free from the sword spirit's suction force. It then mobilized all the strength of the main body and heavily attacked the middle-grade Venerable Realm sword. At the same time, the strength of the wizard ancestor's physical body combined with the wizard fist skill was infinitely close to the power of a martial venerable. It also allowed the 2 fists to directly send the middle-grade Venerable Realm sword flying. The physical body of a martial venerable. Just as Yu Haoran used his fist to forcefully send the middle-grade Venerable Realm sword flying, a peerless martial venerable at the top of the north side of the stand softly muttered to himself. No, the physical body is already at the early stage of a first-grade martial venerable. A peerless martial venerable sitting next to him further reminded him. No wonder he could kill an ordinary first-grade martial venerable, peerless martial venerable. It turns out that the strength of his physical body is so strong. As he nodded in agreement with the other party's further reminder, a trace of worry appeared in his eyes as he continued to ask himself, I wonder if his state of mind cultivation, origin power, and soul power have broken through to the martial venerable realm. After all, ever since Yu Haoran began to accept the round-robin battle arranged by the purple-robed middle-aged expert using the rules of the competition, he had been using his physical body and the upper-grade Venerable Realm Staff magic weapon to fight his opponent. At most, he supplemented it with the complete realm's fast rule. He had never really used a trace of his origin power and soul power, nor did he expose the main power of the rule that he had comprehended when he broke through to the next realm. Although the 2 peerless martial venerables were not talking loudly, the spectators around them were all martial sages, quasi-martial venerables, and martial venerables. Therefore, they had heard the evaluation of Yu Haoran's physical body clearly. As they were shocked, they finally understood why Yu Haoran could directly kill a third tribulation quasi-martial venerable opponent with only his physical body and the staff magic weapon. It turned out that his physical body had already broken through to the martial venerable realm. If the physical body of an early first-grade martial venerable can make you all so surprised, what kind of shock will the physical body of an early second-grade martial venerable bring to you all? Unlike the spectators who were shocked by the strength of Yu Haoran's physical body, Gusheng secretly guessed with a proud smile on his face. Although the second middle-grade Venerable Realm Sword did not have an artifact spirit, its sharpness and hardness were not something that a physical body could compare to. As a result, Qin Mingho's face could not help but change when he saw Yu Haoran send a medium Exalt Realm sword flying with just his fists. A sliver of an ill omen filled his heart. Chapter 1371. In the Arena of the Hidden Dragon Fortress. Your high-grade Venerable Realm artifact actually destroyed my sword spirit. No matter how hard he tried to summon it, the middle-grade Venerable Realm sword in his hand did not respond. Qin Mingho knew that the sword spirit had been completely destroyed. It was different from what Yu Haoran had guessed. The middle-grade Venerable Realm sword spirit was not given to him by Qin Tianyi. like the rank 2 purple spirit embryo fruit. It was an opportunity he had obtained in the hidden dragon fairyland. The sword spirit of the middle-grade Venerable Realm Sword was kind and knowledgeable. It was like a good teacher. Among the 43 elite disciples of the imperial family who participated in the hidden dragon ranking battle, Qin Mingho's cultivation and strength were ranked behind them. He was the one who would be eliminated in the preliminary round. The result: in less than half a month, not only did his cultivation and strength surpass all the elite disciples of the imperial family in Qinling Fei, but his ranking on the ranking list also surpassed Yu Haoran's. Among them, the rank 2 purple spirit embryo fruit was important for improving one's talent and comprehension. The sword spirit's guidance and help was even more important. Now, the artifact spirit that was like his master had been destroyed. Apart from causing the might of the sword to be reduced by 70%, he had also lost the hope of quickly becoming a peerless martial exalt. How could Qin Mingho not feel extremely furious and pained by this? Yu Haoran said indifferently as he reached out to grab the upper-grade Venerable Realm Staff that had returned to his side. Qin Mingho, from the moment you chose to become Qin Tianyi's lackey, not only will the weapon spirit of the sword in your hand be destroyed, even you, Qin Mingho, and the clan behind you will be destroyed. You're just a lowly person from a remote town. Yu Haoran's judgment of his and his family's fate completely ignited Qin Mingho's pride as a member of the royal family. He temporarily suppressed the pain and anger in his heart from losing the sword spirit of his sword and mocked disdainfully. Ridiculous. You'll know whether it's ridiculous or not. In the face of Qin Mingho's mockery, Yu Haoran replied without any change in expression. Soon after, he used 100% of the power of the wizard ancestor's physical body and the weapon spirit to activate all of the power of the white rod. Then, he directly used the Monkey Emperor's inherited rod technique, overturning rivers and seas. The staff technique, which had the power of an ordinary third-grade martial honorable, attacked Qin Mingho like the god of death. The strength of a peak first-grade revered martial artist. The strength of an ordinary third-grade revered martial artist. Just as Yu Haoran displayed his overwhelming staff technique, the expressions of the peak martial revered experts at the top of the East, West, and North stands could not help but change. Among them, the peak martial saint in the Northern spectator stands, who had once evaluated Yu Haoran's physical body, continued to evaluate him in shock. Although almost 40% of the staff technique's power comes from the upper-grade martial honorable realm staff technique and the weapon spirit, this is enough to prove the strength of Yu Haoran's physical body and his comprehension of the staff technique that has reached the peak of the greater success realm. The peak martial saint, who had also evaluated Yu Haoran's physical body, had a look of admiration in his eyes as he continued to point out. The purple-robed, middle-aged expert's hands, which were placed on the dragon throne, suddenly clenched the armrests. At this moment, his gloomy face seemed to be dripping with water. That's great. Emperor Qin, who had a clear feeling of the staff technique's power and the evaluation of the two peak martial honorable experts, immediately relaxed. Qin Mingho felt that the power of Yu Haoran's staff technique had increased by at least 10 times. The arrogance in his eyes was instantly replaced by seriousness. At the same time, he immediately put away the middle-grade martial honorable realm sword, and a very delicate 3-inch sword suddenly appeared in his left hand. He clenched his right hand into a fist and then hit his chest 3 times. 3 mouthfuls of blood essence splattered on the delicate little sword in his left hand. Then, he threw the delicate little sword toward the staff that was coming at him. At the same time, Qin Mingho's 10 fingers quickly formed a seal, and he roared. Boundless heaven and earth, borrowing power from the universe. Along with Qin Mingho's roar, the delicate little sword that had merged with the seal and blood essence was instantly upgraded to the upper-grade martial honorable realm. At the same time, it immediately separated into 998 identical small swords of the upper-grade martial honorable realm. This is the Wuji sword sect, which was known as the strongest sword sect in the recent ancient times. It's the Wuji divine sword, which has no grade. Seeing the 999 small swords of the upper grade, martial honorable realm in the air, and hearing Qin Mingho's roar, a peak martial honorable expert from the east side of the spectator stand suddenly stood up and shouted in shock. Although there were very few inherited families in the southern region, and even fewer families from the Middle Ages and recent ancient times, many experts in the spectator stand came from the central, eastern, and western region. Many of them were very clear about the meaning of the Wuji sword sect and the Wuji divine sword. Apart from Emperor Qin and the others in the spectator stand in the southern region, who were still puzzled because they did not understand the terror of the Wuji sword sect and the Wuji divine sword, the peak and ordinary martial honorable experts in the spectator stand in the other three directions looked at the 999 small swords with a greedy look in their eyes. The 999 small swords of the upper grade martial honorable realm that had merged with the seal and blood essence did not need Qin Mingho's control at all. When faced with the staff technique that had reached the peak of the martial honorable realm, the delicate little swords immediately formed a set of exquisite formation. Not only did it successfully offset the terrifying power of the staff technique, but also almost severely injured the weapon's spirit in the staff. Fortunately, Yu Haoran immediately withdrew the white staff when he realized that the situation was not good and avoided the danger of the weapon's spirit being severely injured. No matter how exquisite the formation was, there was a certain limit to the attack power that it could withstand. Therefore, when Yu Haoran was about to use all his strength and perform the sky-facing staff that he had truly comprehended the essence of, Thaling's exclamation suddenly came from his sea of consciousness. No wonder it looks familiar. It turns out that it's a formation sword that I've refined before. What? Hearing that the delicate little swords that could form an exquisite formation in front of him were magic weapons that Thaling had personally refined in the past, Yu Haoran suspected that he had misheard. After all, the exquisite formation formed by instinct could not only offset the staff technique attack of a peak martial honorable, but could also severely injure the weapon spirit of an upper-grade martial honorable realm magic weapon. The real power of the delicate little swords was not inferior to that of a true peak martial honorable expert. That's right. Thaling nodded and sighed with a nostalgic expression. 1,000,000 years before the destruction of the ancient Central Period, it was the time when martial arts reached the peak, even close to the level when the ancient era was first created. There were as many martial sages as dogs, and martial honorables were everywhere. Even a powerful expert like Emperor Wu could not shake them. It was a true portrayal of that period. Chapter 1372. In the arena of the hidden dragon fortress. Every 100 years, the whole continent will hold a competition of auxiliary cultivation systems, which is far more influential than the hidden dragon list. For example, the Alchemy God Contest, the Curse God Contest, the Array God Contest, and the Instrument God Contest. As he explained, Thaling looked through the sea of consciousness at the 999 small swords that were reconstructing the exquisite attack sword formation. Then, he stretched out his finger and gently pointed. A trace of strange energy quickly passed through the barrier of the sea of consciousness and blended into the exquisite attack formation. Then 999 small, exquisite swords floated quietly in the air. The swords that can automatically form the formation are called formation swords. I used a special secret method to transform into a contestant to participate in the Instrument God Contest. Thaling, with the formation sword's ability to instinctively form the exquisite formation, did you win the championship of that Instrument God Contest. Yu Haoran believed that the formation sword was a magical instrument refined by the pagoda spirit during the Middle Ages, but he could not help but guess that the formation sword was completely fixed by the pagoda spirit with just a finger. No, but to Yu Haoran's surprise, Thaling shook his head and denied it. In that Instrument God Contest, the formation swords I refined were only ranked third. If it weren't for the special environment, Yu Haoran could only try his best to control his emotions, Thaling's denial would definitely make him gasp. After 3 years of contact, he knew all too well just how powerful the pagoda spirits Array Dao and Tools Dao were. If it weren't for the fact that his divine soul had not recovered and the influence of the refining materials, with his achievements in Array Doctrine and Tools Doctrine, it wouldn't be a problem for him to directly refine a magic weapon of the divine realm. With such a profound Array Doctrine and Tools Doctrine cultivation, the formation swords refined were only ranked 3rd. How could he not be shocked? Thaling, what are the 1st and 2nd ranked magic weapons? Who refined them? Aside from his shock, Yu Haoran wanted to know who in the Middle Ages was more skilled in formations and crafting than Thaling. The number 1 Dharma artifact is the Sky-Throwing Seal, which is said to be able to destroy stars and is as powerful as a top primordial spirit treasure. It was created by Yun Zhongzi, the number 1 artifact refining genius of the Middle Ages. The wide-sleeved fairy dress, which was at the peak of the divine realm, was made by Yun Zhongzi in the Middle Ages. Therefore, Yu Haoran could accept the fact that the magic weapon he refined was better than Thaling. However, when Thaling mentioned the 2nd magic tool and the person who made it, he could not help but frown. The magic artifact ranked 2nd is the Qingping sword that's said to be able to shatter the heavens with a single strike. Its might isn't inferior to a peak natural spirit treasure as well, and it came from a nameless Taoist. Yu Haoran, let's not talk about the past anymore. I'm going to teach you how to subdue the formation swords now. With the help of killing Qin Mingyu, help me get the level 2 9-mouthed purple spirit embryo fruit in his dantian. Seeing that Yu Haoran wanted to continue asking about the unknown Qingping sword and the nameless Taoist, Thaling did not want to tell him more about the secrets of the formation swords. Instead, he used the suggestion of subduing the formation swords to divert his attention. Then hurry up. Hearing Thaling's suggestion and Qin Mingyu's rapid movements to retake control of the small sword, Yu Haoran immediately abandoned the idea of asking about the origins of the Qingping sword and the nameless Taoist, and hurriedly urged him. The technique Thaling taught him to control the formation swords was very simple. Just as Qin Mingyu's imprint merged into the small sword, Yu Haoran also used the technique Thaling taught him to fight for control of the formation swords. Although it was Yu Haoran's first time using the technique to control and fight for the small sword, the technique taught by Thaling, who had refined a formation sword himself, could directly control the core of the formation swords. Therefore, under the shocked gaze of everyone present and Qin Mingyu's incredulous gaze, the 999 small sword returned to their original appearance and then obediently fell into Yu Haoran's hands. You, return the ultimate divine sword to me at once. Seeing that his greatest hidden trump card, the limitless divine sword that he was so ambitious to finally win the championship, had fallen into Yu Haoran's hands, anger, panic, helplessness, fear, and other complex and ever-changing emotions directly crushed his mind, causing him to act as if he was mentally retarded. In the face of Qin Mingyu's retarded order, Yu Haoran played with the formation swords while ridiculing him. Qin Mingyu, if the ultimate divine sword is yours, then shout out its name loudly and see if it will respond to your shout. As long as one had normal intelligence, they would be able to hear Yu Haoran's ridicule just now. However, Qin Mingyu, whose mind was completely crushed, shouted at the formation swords like a fool. Ultimate divine sword. I am your master, Qin Mingyu. When you hear my shout, you will respond. He was stunned. Not only the audience at the scene, but also the 7 venerable realm experts in the air. Even Yu Haoran was completely confused by Qin Mingyu's behavior that was even more retarded than a retard. However, if one were to put themselves in his shoes, if one's final trump card was easily taken away by the opponent without any use, one situation would not be better than Qin Mingyu's. Although Qin Mingyu's act of secretly relying on Qin Tianyi deserved to die, no matter what, he was still an elite of the Emperor Qin's imperial family. Every move he made represented the Emperor Qin's face. His current retarded behavior not only made him lose face, but also made the Emperor Qin lose face. Therefore, Yu Haoran immediately put away his ridicule and used the formation swords to easily kill Qin Mingyu, who had lost control of his mind. At the same time, he also took the opportunity to send the purple spiritual embryo fruit in his dantian to Victor. Ecstatic, Faling put away the purple spiritual embryo fruit. He planned to wait until the end of the hidden dragon list in the southern region to use the stage 2 purple spiritual embryo fruit to recover his divine soul. After all, in order to restore his divine soul to the demigod realm, he had to use the method of a short sleep to absorb the real essence of the stage 2 purple spiritual embryo fruit. However, Yu Haoran's current situation made it impossible for him to refine the purple spiritual embryo fruit in peace. Ignoring the process of the 1-meter-long colorful dragon swallowing the fruit, Yu Haoran observed the formation swords in his hand and discussed with Faling in his mind. Faling, can I give the formation sword to someone? You want to give it to Wuhan, right? Faling asked jokingly. Among Yu Haoran's confidants, Qin Lingfei had been forcibly deprived of her natal sword, and Yu Haoran had completely broken off with the sword Wei fate. Therefore, she had not touched any sword Wei celestial instruments or sword techniques since then. Although Lin Mengyao also practiced sword techniques, after awakening the bloodline of the divine beast phoenix and transforming into the blood phoenix, the most powerful divine phoenix in terms of killing, she mostly practiced blood series and divine beast secret techniques. Swords were not essential external forces. Chapter 1373. Hidden Dragon Fortress Arena. Only the sword without trace was truly focused on sword cultivation, and the only person who could achieve great things in the future. Furthermore, Yu Haoran had just promised her that he would help her get rid of all obstacles in the Hidden Dragon rankings. Therefore, the only person who could give the formation sword to her was the sword without trace. That's right. Facing Faling's teasing question, Yu Haoran nodded and admitted without any embarrassment. Sure. The tower spirit put away its playful smile and agreed solemnly. After all, Yu Haoran had destroyed his natal sword on the day of his wedding and had a direct clash with his sword Dao Providence. He had basically severed all ties with his sword Dao and sword. Even if he had the hand seals that she taught him, he would be affected by the sword cultivation and could only use 30% to 40% of the formation sword's power. It would be better to give it to someone who was more suitable for it. The sword without trace, who was obsessed with sword cultivation, was the most suitable owner for the formation sword. After receiving Faling's agreement, Yu Haoran took out a blank jade slip from his storage ring and imprinted the sword control hand seals that Faling had just taught him into the jade slip. Then, he wrapped the formation sword and the jade slip in front of the sword without trace using Yuan Qi. Without saying anything, the sword without trace knew that Yu Haoran wanted to give him the small sword just by looking at him. Even the top revered martial artists on the spectator stands were jealous of the limitless godly sword, but Yu Haoran gave it to him without batting an eyelid. The sword without trace was deeply moved and instinctively wanted to reject it. Firstly, the limitless godly sword was very powerful and could help Yu Haoran deal with the upcoming battles, as well as Gu Sheng, who could threaten him. Secondly, giving such a precious treasure to himself would cause a misunderstanding with Qin Lingfei and affect the relationship between him and Qin Lingfei. However, just as she was about to reject, the jade slip floating in front of her suddenly exploded and a trace of divine thought shot directly into her forehead. 5 seconds later, the sword without trace looked up at Yu Haoran in the arena with an extremely shocked expression. In addition to the hand seals to control the formation sword, Yu Haoran also introduced the true origin of the limitless godly sword in detail according to Faling's explanation, as well as its heaven-defying assistance in improving her sword cultivation and strength. Therefore, knowing the sword without trace's stubbornness to pursue sword cultivation, Yu Haoran believed that she would eventually accept the formation sword. Since the treasure needed a suitable owner, Yu Haoran immediately took out the low-level Venerable Realm double-ringed saber and directly threw it to Wu Zhengjun, who was below the arena. Reaching out to grab the double-ringed saber thrown by Yu Haoran, Wu Jingjun could not help but wave the double-ring saber a few times due to the blood-boiling sensation in his blood. He did not use his yuan qi or soul power, nor did he use a trace of his physical strength, but the double-ringed saber emitted a blood-red light. Good saber, good saber. The double-ringed saber's unexpected reaction made Wu Zhangjun like it more and more. The more he liked it, the more he wanted to give a new name. Looking up at Yu Haoran in the arena, Wu Zhangjun thought of the scene of Lu Yuan's blood oath on the day of the wedding. He bit the tip of his tongue and spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood on the double-ringed saber. Then, holding the saber hilt tightly with his left hand, he suddenly raised it to the sky, casting the body with blood, devouring the soul, companionship as responsibility, life as defense. Now, I, Wu Jingjun, bestow upon you the name of blood devouring. Accompany me to follow senior brother and kill all the people who deserve to be killed in this world. Slaughter all the people who deserve to be slaughtered in this world. Along with the name bestowed by Wu Jingjun with his own blood, the double-ringed saber suddenly formed a strong suction force. The strong suction force gradually turned into attraction force and began to quickly gather the blood energy floating in the air. At first, the amount of blood energy drawn was too little. Everyone present could only smell a faint smell of blood. However, as the traction force spread wider and wider, more and more blood energy gathered. Wu Jingjun, who was holding the double-ringed saber, was gradually enveloped by the blood energy. After only 3 minutes, the area hundreds of meters around Wu Jingjun had completely turned into a sea of blood. Yu Haoran also had to retreat to the edge of the arena. At the same time, the ranking list that was affected by the blood energy in the sea of blood temporarily stopped the ongoing battle of attrition. Then, they quietly waited for the double-ringed saber to complete the transformation process. The white-haired old man in the middle of the east side of the stands muttered to himself in disbelief after seeing the transformation of the double-ringed saber. Impossible. The fallen mountain is clearly the natal saber left behind by our ancestor before he passed away. How could it transform in the hands of that kid? When the sea of blood covered an area of 1,000 meters, Yu Haoran had to jump out of the arena and continue to retreat with Qin Lingfei and the rest. When the sea of blood covered an area of 10,000 meters, it emitted a strong smell of blood. Qin Lingfei and Kang Yung-ah could not help but pinch their noses. It also made many young women in the stands gradually turn pale. However, when the sea of blood covered an area of 10,000 meters, the traction force in the sea of blood began to weaken gradually. The area of the sea of blood began to shrink rapidly. When the sea of blood covered an area of only 999 meters, a terrifying aura suddenly came from the sea of blood. Although the power of this terrifying aura was far less powerful than that of the middle-aged man in purple, the murderous aura contained in the terrifying aura forced the 7 venerables in the air to temporarily leave their dragon thrones and continue to fly for a distance. Birth of blood devour. As Wu Zhongjuan's roar came from the sea of blood, a blood-red shadow that looked exactly like Wu Zhangjun rushed out of the sea of blood. The blood-red shadow, floating in the air, raised its head and smiled strangely at the 7 venerables. Then, it opened its mouth and sucked hard at the sea of blood below it. After that, the blood in the sea of blood was quickly sucked into the blood-red shadow's body like a tornado. In less than 5 seconds, the blood-red shadow had completely devoured the 999 meters of blood in the sea of blood. However, the blood-red shadow in the air did not change at all, whether it was its body shape or aura, even after devouring such a large amount of blood. At the same time, Wu Jingjun was revealed after the sea of blood disappeared. Whether it was his aura or his aura, it was completely different from before. My origin energy and soul power have successfully advanced to the beginner stage of a first-grade martial venerable. My mental state, cultivation, and power of law are also on the verge of breaking through to a martial venerable. Although Wu Jingjun did not display any of his strength, Thaling's sharp eyes could still clearly see his current state. Yu Haoran, without me and Victor's help, you might not be able to defeat Zhengjun right now. Chapter 1374. Hidden Dragon Fortress, Central Square. When Wu Zhengjun slowly opened his eyes, the blood shadow floating in the air immediately rushed towards him excitedly. Looking at the blood shadow rushing towards him, Wu Zhengjun raised his left hand and opened his 5 fingers, allowing the blood shadow to appear in his palm. Then, he looked at the blood shadow turning back into the blood devourer blade, the peak of the upper level of the Exalt realm. The person who shouted out the true grade of Wu Zhengjun's double-back ring blade was not Thaling, who was proficient in Tool's method, but a peak Tool's method grandmaster from the east side of the stands. The double-back ring blade was originally a lower level of the Exalt realm, but in the hands of Wu Zhengjun for only 5 minutes, not only did it advance by 2 small grades, but it could also turn into an unknown blood shadow. At this moment, in addition to the shock in everyone's eyes, there was also a trace of understanding. When the blood shadow turned back into the double-back ring blade and was put away by Wu Zhengjun with joy, Yu Haoran was also forcefully brought back to the arena by the list. At the same time, the 45th contestant was also forcefully brought to the arena. I admit defeat. Just as Yu Haoran raised the white staff of the upper level of the Exalt realm, the 45th contestant quickly admitted defeat before Yu Haoran could open his mouth to threaten him. With the cultivation of the peak of the 9th level of the Martial Saint realm and the strength of the 3rd tribulation of the Martial Saint realm, other than Wu Zhengjun, who was ranked higher than him, the Sword Without Trace, who had the Formation Sword, and Kong Yong-ah, who had the Wind-Tailed Fox, Qin Lingfei, and Yusiki were not his opponents. Therefore, in the face of the 45th contestant's admission of defeat, Yu Haoran was not happy at all. Instead, there was an unconcealable disappointment in his eyes. Yu Haoran did not deliberately hide the change in his eyes, which made the hearts of the spectators who could see the change in his eyes tremble. Could it be that the purple-robed, middle-aged expert used the rules of the competition to set up a tag-team battle, which was exactly what he wanted? His real goal was to kill the top contestants on the list. After having this guess, they thought of the 2 peerless experts in the North Stand's evaluation of Yu Haoran's strength. Some of the experts in the East Stand immediately stood up and shouted towards the arena. Xiao Chuanji, admit defeat immediately when you get on the arena. Mr. Li, I order you to admit defeat immediately. Xiang Wentian, I don't care how big your ambition is, you must admit defeat when you face your son-in-law. The 9 quasi-martial venerables and martial venerables on the east side of the stands shouted orders. Although the spectators on the other 3 stands did not know what was going on, they knew that it would be disadvantageous for the following contestants. Therefore, the quasi-martial revered and martial revered experts in the other 3 stands also ordered their juniors to admit defeat when facing Yu Haoran. Other than Qin Tianyi, who had a life and death battle with Yu Haoran, Gu Li, who had harassed his beloved wife, and the top 15 contestants on the list, the elders of the remaining contestants all asked their juniors to admit defeat. The purple-robed, middle-aged expert who had returned to the Purple Dragon throne gradually turned ashen. He glanced at the experts who stood up and asked their juniors to admit defeat, and his eyes revealed a strong sense of warning. Unfortunately, the contestants who were able to enter the top 50 were all core disciples carefully nurtured by their respective families and sections. Their safety was above all else. Therefore, in the face of the purple-robed, middle-aged expert's warning gaze, everyone chose to ignore it. I admit defeat. Even without the elder's request, the 44th contestant on the list would have admitted defeat. He already had the thought of admitting defeat in his heart, and the elder's order gave him a reason to admit defeat. Therefore, the 43rd contestant did not wait for Yu Haoran to threaten him with his staff and directly admitted defeat. I admit defeat. However, when the 42nd contestant was forcefully sent to the stage, Yu Haoran, who was instantly emitting a substantial killing intent, roared as if he was afraid that his opponent would admit defeat. Kill! Immediately after, he immediately used 100% of the strength of the ancestral witch's physical body and the white staff that had merged with the weapon spirit. He used the Monkey Emperor's overturning rivers and sea staff technique to attack the 42nd contestant like a killing god. Not to mention his pride as a direct descendant of the Gu clan, he would not allow the 42nd contestant on the list, Gu Li, to admit defeat. Even if it was in order to obtain Qinling Fei, the woman of his dreams, he would still blast Yu Haoran to death with a heavy punch. Sensing the terrifying strength of the martial venerable realm contained within the staff technique, Gu Li immediately took out a pair of pitch-black gloves and put them on. Then, he charged towards Yu Haoran with large strides while brandishing a peak heaven rank fist technique. Boom! As the fist and the staff collided, an intense rumbling sound instantly resounded in the arena. Accompanied by the intense rumbling sound, not only was Gu Li's strides forcibly stopped, but the rebound force formed by the fist technique and staff technique also caused him to retreat 6 steps. However, Yu Haoran, who was also affected by the rebound force formed by the fist technique and staff technique, was also forced to retreat 3 steps. Although the grade of Gu Li's physical body was outstanding, it was far from being able to disperse the powerful attack of the staff technique with just the fist technique and force him to retreat 3 steps. Therefore, after stabilizing his body, Yu Haoran directly looked at the pitch-black gloves on his hands. Just as Yu Haoran's gaze was on the gloves, the staff's weapon spirit immediately reminded him, "Master, not only is the grade of the martial venerable realm's ultimate grade magic tool, but it also has a weapon spirit that's maintained at its peak state. Yu Haoran, I have to say that although you're just a lowly peasant, your talent and strength are passable." Gu Li was jealous of Yu Haoran's outstanding talent and strength for being able to force him, who possessed a martial venerable realm magic tool, to retreat 6 steps with the help of the staff technique. At the same time, the thought of torturing and humiliating him immediately arose in Gu Li's mind. Therefore, just like his brother, Gu Sheng, Gu Li spoke in a condescending manner. "As long as you're willing to break the engagement with Qinling Fei and personally send her to me, I'll take you in as a servant of the Gu clan." Since he could not kill Gu Li with just the ancestral witch's physical body and the white staff of the high-grade venerable realm, Yu Haoran planned to use his origin power to increase a portion of his strength and continue to attack his opponent with his overwhelming staff technique. "Gu Li, I open a brothel in Xianyang City." Chapter 1375. In the Arena of the Hidden Dragon Fortress. If you, Gu Li, are willing to send all the women of the Gu clan to the brothel and earn enough spirit stones for me, then you are qualified to be my dog. Yu Haoran's verbal insult had completely changed everyone's understanding of the highest level of cursing. It turned out that the sharpness of words was so shocking. No wonder it was mentioned in the ancient saying that words could save people, but they could also kill people. "Yu Haoran!" Gu Li's eyes were burning with anger as he shouted. "Surnamed you." Gu Sheng's angry shout came from below the arena. "Junior, you're courting death." A white-haired old man on the north side of the spectator stand roared. "You, an old man with half a foot in the grave, should die." Ignoring the angry shouts of Gu Li and Gu Sheng, Yu Haoran suddenly turned around and cursed at the white-haired old man. As the saying goes, if the upper beam is not straight, the lower beam will be crooked. From the actions of Gu Sheng and Gu Li, these 2 little animals, I'm afraid there isn't a single good person in your Gu clan. After cursing to this point, Yu Haoran suddenly raised his head and looked at the list in the air. Then, he respectfully cupped his hands and requested. The Hidden Dragon Fortune is equivalent to an animal clan. What qualifications do they have to participate in the list competition held by you? What qualifications do they have to enjoy the blessing of your fortune? Junior Yu Haoran hopes that you can take back the huge fortune dragons in Gu Sheng and Gu Li's bodies, deprive them of the right to participate in the competition, and expel them from the Hidden Dragon Fortress immediately. Unfortunately, the list condensed from the Hidden Dragon Fortune didn't pay any attention to Yu Haoran's request. When the purple-clothed, middle-aged man in the air was about to use this opportunity to humiliate Yu Haoran, he suddenly shook his head in disappointment and sighed. That's right. You're also a pitiful person who is being manipulated by a bunch of playthings. How could you agree to my request? Playthings. The ones controlling the list were a bunch of playthings. When he heard Yu Haoran's disappointed sigh, he didn't forget to humiliate himself. The purple-clothed, middle-aged man fiercely slapped the armrest of the dragon throne. However, a trace of killing intent appeared on the list, so he could only forcefully suppress his anger and calm down. After shaking his head in disappointment, Yu Haoran instantly released the Yuan Li that he was suppressing just now and immediately launched a fierce attack. The verbal humiliation was just an appetizer for the Gu family. The revenge, after killing Gu Li, was the real main course. Yu Haoran, I'll make you die a horrible death. Seeing that Yu Haoran had taken the initiative to attack, Gu Li, whose anger had already burned to the bottom of his heart, roared in a low voice. His fists, which were wearing the supreme-grade Exalt Realm gauntlets, began to fiercely pound his chest. Every time his fist body, his body would explode Li's bodies. After 9 hits, he had become a 9-meter-tall giant. At the same time, the aura emanating from his body had vaguely reached the martial Venerable Realm. If the list were to be recalculated at this time, Gu's extreme-grade Venerable Realm's secret method of transforming into a giant secret method would definitely rush into the top 20 or even the top 15. Whether it was using the mutated beast blood essence to cast the secret method of transforming or directly activating the 1,000-meter-tall ancestral witch's body, Yu Haoran was very clear about this kind of method to increase one's strength through transforming. Therefore, although Yu Haoran's attack method didn't change when facing Gu's transformed 9-meter-tall giant, he directly changed the location of his attack from his head to his ribs. He originally thought that by casting the secret method of the Gu clan's inherited bloodline and temporarily gaining strength that was infinitely close to the martial Venerable Realm, he would definitely be able to defeat and kill Yu Haoran. However, when Yu Haoran's staff martial technique landed heavily on his left rib, the condensed ancestral bloodline in his body was instantly dispersed. Pooh! After losing the transformation energy provided by his ancestral bloodline, Gu's body quickly regained its original height while he spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood. The reason why he was able to defeat Gu's in one move, other than using origin energy to increase a portion of his strength, was because he was very clear about the secret method's flaws and weaknesses. Therefore, in order to prevent Gu's recovery and force him to continue increasing his strength, Yu Haoran didn't stop at all. He directly enveloped Gu's Pear Blossom Storm's staff technique taught by the weapon spirit. However, Gu's body was a peerless genius, after all. At the same time, he needed to preserve Gu's soul as the main dish to take revenge on the Gu clan. Therefore, he needed to continuously attack to break through Gu's body's defense, but he also needed to control his attack power to not harm his soul. This required a very high control of power, as well as one's mental state cultivation. Fortunately, the brand new comprehension of the law of 2 elements, which had disappeared, resurfaced in his mind, and his mental state cultivation, which had already broken through to the martial Venerable Realm, allowed him to successfully protect Gu's soul when he finally shattered Gu's body. With the help of the Thaling, Victor, the first doppelganger that had quietly merged with the body, quickly sealed Gu's soul, then quickly left the body and returned to the Victor. As for the main body, Yu Haoran directly sat down cross-legged and began to comprehend the brand new law of 2 elements with the help of the newly obtained opportunity of epiphany. As Gu Li's soul was still alive, it meant that the competition wasn't really over yet. Therefore, although Gu Sheng, who was below the arena, and the white-haired old man in the north stand wanted to save Gu Li's soul, they could only stare helplessly. Epiphany, seeing Yu Haoran, who was sitting cross-legged on the arena, only 5 steps away from the white-haired old man of the Gu clan, the 2 top-notch martial venerables, who had also evaluated Yu Haoran's body grade and comprehension of staff techniques, commented again. That's right. The second top-notch marshal, Venerable, nodded in agreement, then continued to point out. Moreover, it's the comprehension of the brand-new law of two elements. If he can successfully comprehend the brand-new law of two elements with the help of the state of epiphany, it'll be worth it even if he has to give up the next round of the competition. The first top-notch marshal, Venerable, sighed with envy. Your Majesty, I'll say the same thing again. Your son-in-law is really a monster. After hearing the two top-notch marshal Venerable's comments about Yu Haoran, Meng Zhengkai, who had tried his best to comprehend only one law of two elements, couldn't help but sigh with envy. That's right. Emperor Qin nodded in agreement. Damn it. How can this junior's luck be so heaven-defying? Not only did we not exhaust him to death, he even used the battle method to enter a state of epiphany. As the purple-robed, middle-aged expert, whose cultivation and strength were more powerful, he had the clearest perception of the brand-new law of two elements. Although he didn't know what the brand-new law of two elements that Yu Haoran had comprehended was, he was 100% sure that the brand-new law of two elements was extremely powerful. Chapter 1376. In the Ring of the Hidden Dragon Fortress. Since he had the protection of the Hidden Dragon luck list, he did not have to worry about being attacked or disturbed by anyone. Therefore, Yu Haoran was relieved to use the state of epiphany to comprehend the law of strength and the law of quantity. That was right. The first time he entered the state of epiphany, he comprehended the brand new law of strength and the law of quantity, which could increase the power of his attacks. If other warriors were to comprehend the law of strength and the law of quantity, they would at most increase the power of their attacks or comprehend the true essence of the law of strength. However, for Yu Haoran, the comprehension and integration of the law of strength and the law of quantity was the foundation for him to fully accept the inheritance of all the memories of the ancient 12 Grand Wizards and transform into a real Grand Wizard. That was also the important reason why he did not agree or shake his head when Thaling said that he was no match for Wu Jingjun. As the 12 Grand Wizards who were not inferior to the 9 great divine beast kings in ancient times, the true means that they possessed were not something that Thaling could understand. With the Grand Wizard's martial skills that he had recently comprehended, as long as he combined them with the Grand Wizard's body that was 1,000 meters tall, it would not be as difficult to defeat Wu Jingjun as he had imagined. If he could master the law of strength and the law of quantity, and then with the help of the inheritance of the 12 Grand Wizards' memories, Wu Jingjun would not be his match. Perhaps it was because the current environment was not suitable for epiphany, or perhaps it was because the waiting time was too long. The list condensed from the Hidden Dragon luck was a little impatient. As a result, when he had just scratched the surface of the laws of strength and the laws of quantity and wanted to further improve his comprehension of the laws, a special energy fluctuation caused him to uncontrollably awaken from his state of epiphany. Counting carefully, it had only been 5 minutes since he had sat cross-legged and woken up again. Fortunately, as long as he could comprehend the surface of the law of strength and the law of quantity, he would be able to fully accept the inheritance of the 12 Grand Wizards' memories. Therefore, even though he had come out of the state of epiphany, he was not depressed at all. Yu Haoran looked at Gu Li's soul that had been sealed by his first avatar. Ignoring the desire to survive and the fear in the depths of Gu Li's soul, Yu Haoran looked up at the leaderboard in the air, hesitation in his eyes. Yu Haoran, release my brother Gu Li's soul immediately. Otherwise, I, Gu Sheng, will exterminate your entire clan. Just as Yu Haoran was looking at the ranking list in the air, Gu Sheng, who had appeared at the edge of the arena, threatened with a murderous aura. Gu Sheng's murderous threat made the hesitant look in Yu Haoran's eyes immediately become firm. Ignoring Gu Sheng's threat, Yu Haoran cupped his hands towards the list and said something that baffled everyone present. The Hidden Dragon Blessing. Do you want to know how to completely suppress the Sword Dao Blessing, which is the most threatening thing to you in the Void Zone? Just as everyone present was wondering what Yu Haoran's baffling words meant, the leaderboard, which had never responded to anyone, suddenly shook violently. As the leaderboard shook violently, a huge seven-colored dragon head stretched out from the leaderboard. "This is impossible." Seeing the huge seven-colored dragon head stretching out from the leaderboard, the purple-clad middle-aged expert suddenly stood up and cried out in disbelief. The other 6 white-haired venerables also stood up in shock, looking at the seven-colored dragon head with disbelief. This was because they had been fortunate enough to become a member of the Pure World Organization and had been in control of the Southern Region Hidden Dragon ranking for nearly 1,000 years. During this period, they had held hundreds of Hidden Dragon ranking battles. They had never received any response from the leaderboard, nor had such an unforeseen event occurred during the competition. Ignoring the panicked reaction of the 7 venerables, the huge seven-colored dragon head looked at Yu Haoran and asked, "Young man, how do you know about the existence of the Void Zone?" "I have my own means to enter the Void Zone," Yu Haoran replied arrogantly. "Oh." There was an obvious look of disbelief in the bucket-sized dragon eyes. The seven-colored dragon head asked in a loud voice, "What's in the Void Zone?" The Void Zone was born at the beginning of the world and was hidden in the false space of the endless void. Apart from the top kings in ancient times who knew about it and could enter it with special means, no one could know and find the exact location of the Void Zone. Therefore, the Hidden Dragon Luck did not believe that Yu Haoran had entered the Void Zone. The thousands of laws under the way of heaven, the various martial arts fate created in ancient times, and the innate spiritual root bred by heaven and earth. The moment he successfully comprehended the law of power and the law of quantity, a gap was opened in the inheritance of the 12 ancestral witches' memories that had been sealed in the depths of his knowledge sea. Yu Haoran officially entered the inheritance of the ancestral witches' memories. Even Thaling did not know the true origin of the Hidden Dragon Luck, but the most powerful of the 12 ancestral witches knew very well. This was because the most powerful ancestral witches had not only entered the Void Zone, but also witnessed the entire process of the innate spiritual root's birth. The billions of living beings who embarked on the path of cultivation that defied the natural order were desperately trying to unlock their own potential while borrowing external forces to prolong their lives and obtain greater power. When every living being began to unlock their hidden potential, there would be a trace of potential aura integrated into heaven and earth. The Hidden Dragon Luck was a kind of innate spiritual root that was formed by the accumulation of the potential aura of countless living beings. The initiator of the Hidden Dragon ranking battle was the Hidden Dragon Luck that had an instinctive consciousness. This was because it needed this method to give back to the billions of living beings who gave it life. It also needed this method of giving back to further stimulate the potential of the billions of living beings so that it could help it become more powerful. In the end, the spiritual root would actually transform and evolve into a new kind of living being. "Young man, what do you need me to do?" Yu Haoran's introduction of the Void Zone made the seven-colored dragon's eyes flash with a trace of shock, but it soon regained its composure and asked, "After the spirit dies, don't arrange any opponents for me within half an hour." Yu Haoran pointed at the sealed spirit of Gu Li and made his request. "No problem." Only stopping the battle for half an hour was not a request at all for the Hidden Dragon Luck, so it could not help but suggest when it nodded in agreement. "Young man, do you need me to change the rules of the Wheel of Attrition battle for you?" The seven-colored dragon condensed by the Hidden Dragon Luck actually took the initiative to suggest changing the rules of the battle for Yu Haoran, which shocked countless spectators at the scene. It also made the expressions of the purple-robed, middle-aged expert and the other 6 people change. This showed that the Hidden Dragon Luck was dissatisfied with using the rules of the Wheel of Attrition battle to deal with Yu Haoran, and it was even more dissatisfied with the 7 venerables who could manipulate the rankings. Chapter 1377. Birthday Bowls, Flowers, and Subscriptions. In the arena of the Hidden Dragon Fortress. Thank you. To everyone's surprise, Yu Haoran flatly refused the offer of the 7-colored giant dragon condensed from the Hidden Dragon Luck without any hesitation. "No need." Then, He looked up at the purple-robed, middle-aged expert standing next to the dragon throne and sneered. Since someone wants to use such a despicable and shameless method to kill me, then I, Yu Haoran, will break his wishful thinking and use the bloody reality to tell him that all schemes and tricks are just nonsense in the face of absolute strength. Yu Haoran's complaint made the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert nervous immediately. He was afraid that the seven-colored giant dragon formed by the hidden dragon providence would misunderstand him and take away his place as a venerable in the hidden dragon fortress in the southern region. However, the arrogance revealed in Yu Haoran's complaint just now, as well as the attitude of an elder reprimanding a junior, made him extremely angry. If it weren't for the hidden dragon fortune's many restrictions on the rules of the competition, as well as the protection of the participants, any of the seven venerables could easily kill him with just a little finger. Why did he have to point fingers and reprimand him? But no matter how angry he was, the purple-robed middle-aged expert could only suppress it in the face of the seven-colored dragon head formed by the hidden dragon fortune. Yu Haoran's seven-colored dragon head didn't respond to the purple-robed middle-aged man's complaint. The huge dragon head just looked at Yu Haoran, waiting for his promise to summon it. I've already killed the sky sword. The earth sword and the human sword have not really grown up yet. Facing the huge dragon head's gaze, Yu Haoran immediately knew what it meant. He used his divine thought to condense the scene of him killing the sky sword and jinnying on the day of the wedding. At the same time, he used his divine thought to explain in detail how to weaken the sword principle luck. If I can continue to kill the earth sword and human sword, then I'll lose the two most powerful carriers of fortune. I'll probably lose at least a third of my sword path fortune, or even half of it. Although the hidden dragon providence had been sleeping in the void zone and was unaware of what had happened in the Tianxian continent, it could clearly sense that the sword Dao providence in the void zone was constantly weakening. This was also one of the main reasons why the rainbow dragon head had appeared. It wanted to know what had happened to the sword Dao providence. Young man, do you need my help? The moment of Sky Sword Hero's death was the beginning of the decline of Sword Dao destiny. Therefore, Yu Haoran's plan to continue killing the Earth Sword and Human Sword was very convincing to the hidden dragon destiny. It also wanted him to finish his task as soon as possible so that it could completely suppress the Sword Dao destiny. Because completely suppressing the Sword Dao destiny was related to whether it could advance to a higher level of existence in the future, the hidden dragon destiny did not give Yu Haoran any choice at all. It directly used its enormous fortune to condense a rainbow dragon scale. Then, the rainbow dragon condensed by the hidden dragon destiny delivered the rainbow dragon scale to Yu Haoran and said directly, "Young man, this dragon scale contains a part of my origin aura. The origin aura can continuously improve your physique and increase your potential. You can also contact me anytime and anywhere through it." After seeing the rainbow dragon scale that the hidden dragon destiny gifted Yu Haoran, the purple-robed middle-aged expert and the others immediately revealed looks of envy and jealousy. Joining the World Cleansing Organization, becoming a member of the Hidden Dragon Fortress, and then diligently presiding over every Hidden Dragon ranking battle. The ultimate goal was to obtain a trace of the Hidden Dragon Destiny's origin aura. This was because the Hidden Dragon Destiny's origin aura could not only improve one's physique and increase one's potential and comprehension, but it could also increase the chances of breaking through to the next realm and assist in advancing to the level of law comprehension. The origin aura's effect on increasing one's realm was not inferior to pills that assisted in breaking through to the next realm. At the same time, it did not have any side effects. The purple-robed middle-aged expert had joined the World Cleansing Organization for hundreds of years and had personally presided over hundreds of hidden dragon ranking battles in the southern region. He had personally roped in nearly 100 monstrous geniuses who were qualified to join the World Cleansing Organization. So diligent and dedicated, he had only received 3 Origin Aura rewards so far. This was also an important reason why his cultivation and strength could reach the peak of a 9th grade martial venerable in such a short period of time. The 6 martial venerables behind him had also worked for the hidden dragon destiny for nearly 1,000 years and had only received 1 or 2 origin aura rewards. However, even if all the origin aura rewards they had received were added together, it was not even 1% of the origin aura contained in the dragon scale that the hidden dragon destiny had given to Yu Haoran. Faced with the hidden dragon destiny's high regard for Yu Haoran, the purple-robed middle-aged expert and the other 6 people were envious and jealous. They also developed a trace of hatred for the hidden dragon destiny that they had worked so hard to serve. Thank you. Similarly, he also understood the various heaven-defying effects of the origin aura. Therefore, when faced with the dragon scale that the hidden dragon destiny had given to him, Yu Haoran did not stand on ceremony and reached out to receive it. He directly placed it in the inner shirt in front of his chest. Then, he turned and walked in front of the sealed divine soul and looked at Gu Li, whose eyes were filled with fear. His 10 fingers formed a seal and removed a part of the seal on the divine soul. Yu Haoran wanted to see Gu Li's nature before he died. Yu Haoran, as long as you are willing to let my divine soul live, I, Gu Li, can agree to any condition of yours. The moment the divine soul seal was removed, Gu Li immediately begged without any backbone. Gu Sheng, who was standing at the edge of the arena, and the white-haired old man at the top of the northern stands could not help but change their expressions. A trace of anger appeared in their eyes. Of course, the target of this anger was not Yu Haoran, but Gu Li, who had brought shame to the Gu clan. Any condition? Yu Haoran asked with the corners of his mouth slightly raised. Any condition? Gu Li did not hesitate and hurriedly nodded in affirmation. Including the brothel I opened in Xianyang City. Yu Haoran looked at Gu Li with a smile that was not a smile and asked, Yu Haoran, this can't even be considered a condition. Seeing Yu Haoran threaten him with an outrageous request that humiliated the entire Gu clan. Although Gu Li was extremely angry, his desire to live made him not show the slightest trace of anger. Instead, he persuaded Yu Haoran with a very sincere attitude. Yu Haoran, my Gu clan has been passed down since the beginning of the world. The foundation that the clan possesses is not something you can imagine. Moreover, the talent and strength of the women in the clan do not lose to us men. Even if you dare to use them to open a brothel, I'm afraid that no one in the entire Tianxian continent would dare to do so. Chapter 1378. In the arena of the hidden dragon fortress. Everyone was stunned. The meaning of Gu Li's last sentence completely stunned everyone present. It was because Gu Li was not valued by the clan and could not decide the fate of the women in the clan. Therefore, it was useless to agree to Yu Haoran's request. Then, what if Gu Li was the clan leader who could decide the future of the clan? In order to save his own life, he could shamelessly give the women in the clan to Yu Haoran and let them be humiliated by others. Gu Li, shut up. Gu Sheng, who was the first to recover from the shock, shouted at Gu Li's divine soul angrily. Then, Gu Sheng went down on one knee and begged the 7-colored dragon head formed by the hidden dragon blessing. Lord Hidden Dragon, as long as you arrange a life-and-death duel between me and Yu Haoran, I, Gu Sheng, am willing to agree to any conditions you raise. Gu Sheng's desperate request immediately made everyone present look at the 7-colored dragon head. They secretly guessed that the hidden dragon blessing would not treat Gu Sheng as highly as it treated Yu Haoran. The reason why he was treated differently by the hidden dragon blessing was not because of how outstanding his talent and potential were, nor was it because he could easily deal with the purple-clothed middle-aged man's arrangement. It was because he not only knew about the existence of the Void Zone, but also could weaken the sword principle luck that threatened it and help it advance to a higher level in the future. Therefore, in the face of Gu Sheng's self-righteous request, he could not help but sneer. The disregard of the 7-colored dragon head and Yu Haoran's sneer made everyone present come back to their senses. At the same time, it also made Gu Sheng blush as if he had been humiliated. Gu Li, I don't care if you have the ability to decide the fate of the women in the Gu clan. I only want her attitude now. Glancing at Gu Sheng with contempt, Yu Haoran took advantage of Gu Li's weakness to continue to humiliate the Gu clan. Are you willing or not? Even if he agreed, Yu Haoran could not do anything to the women in the clan. Therefore, in order to protect his soul and future, when Gu Li opened his mouth to agree, he was interrupted by the white-haired old man at the top of the northern stands. Gu Li, if you dare to agree, this old man will not only hunt you down for the rest of my life, but I will also use all of your 3 generations of blood relatives to devour devils, including your wives, concubines, and lovers. After hearing the white-haired old man's threat, the desire for survival in Gu Li's eyes was immediately replaced by fear. That's right. Even if he betrayed his clan in exchange for a slim chance of survival, with the Gu clan's background, it would be difficult for him to escape death even if he hid to the ends of the earth. Moreover, it would also implicate his family and his 2 beloved concubines who were already pregnant with his child. Forget it. Who asked him to take the initiative to provoke Yu Haoran? He deserved to end up like this. After thinking through all this, Gu Li, who already had the will to die, slowly closed his eyes, as if he was waiting for Yu Haoran to deal with him. Gu Sheng and the white-haired old man could not help but heave a sigh of relief when Gu Li was able to pull back in time. Then, the white-haired old man warned Yu Haoran. Yu Haoran, if you don't want your clan to be ruined, you'd better release Gu Li's soul immediately. Otherwise, this old man will immediately attack the great Emperor Qin Kingdom the moment the hidden dragon ranking competition ends. Then, I will destroy your son-in-law and kill everyone related to you. Old man, you will pay for what you said just now. Yu Haoran threatened as he raised his head and looked at the white-haired old man with a gloomy expression. Then he cupped his hands and bowed to the spectators in the stands. Junior Yu Haoran greets seniors. Putting down his raised hands, Yu Haoran spoke with a trace of grief and indignation. Junior is kind-hearted by nature. When faced with trouble, I will always be patient and not easily make enemies with others. However, the Gu clan has gone too far. Not only do they want to take Junior's beloved wife, but they also want Junior's clan to be ruined. Therefore, Junior was forced to break the taboo of alchemy and do something wrong that will incur the wrath of everyone in the world. Yu Haoran's sudden greeting made everyone puzzled. His explanation of his character almost made everyone laugh out loud. However, when he said that he was going to break the taboo of alchemy, the smile that had just appeared on their faces was immediately replaced by doubt. Could it be? When he saw Yu Haoran's gaze land on Gu Li's soul and thought of the taboo of alchemy that he had just mentioned, an alchemy grandmaster suddenly stood up. There was a trace of fear and excitement on his face. Because he did not know if his guess was correct, the alchemy grandmaster did not directly state Yu Haoran's true purpose. Grandmaster's son, could it be what? An expert who had a good relationship with the alchemy grandmaster was intrigued by his actions and could not help but ask. Shaking his head, the alchemy grandmaster did not answer his friend's question. Sun Xichao, what is Yu Haoran trying to do? A peak martial venerable expert at the top of the east side of the stands also could not bear the desire for knowledge in his heart and immediately ordered with a stern expression. Seeing that the person who ordered him was the overlord of the eastern region, who could control the life and death of the clan behind him, Sun Xichao could only helplessly state his guess. Elderlon, my guess is that Alchemy Emperor Yu wants to use Gu Li's soul to refine the human pill of the alchemy taboo. Sizzle. After hearing Sun Xichao's reply, countless experts in the stands who understood the origin of the human pill could not help but gasp. They looked at Yu Haoran with a trace of respect and fear. The human pill was a heaven-defying pill that used a martial artist's physical body and soul as the main ingredient, then supplemented with a certain amount of medicinal herbs. For example, the Supreme Hua pill that could assist in breaking through to the martial venerable realm. If he used the physical body and soul of a martial sage to replace the main ingredient, not only would he be able to refine a third-level first-grade Supreme Hua pill, the effects of the third-level first-grade Supreme Hua pill will be far stronger than the third-level first-grade Supreme Hua pill refined with the Dragon Sunflower. If the physical body and soul of a peerless expert who had just broken through to the martial venerable realm were used to replace the main ingredient, not only would the supreme Hua pill be as high as the 9th grade of the 3rd rank, but the success rate of assisting in breaking through to the martial venerable realm would be as high as 90%. It was precisely because of the various heaven-defying effects that the human pill had been listed as a taboo pill since the ancient era of alchemy was founded. It was an iron rule that alchemists were not allowed to touch. Chapter 1379. Hidden Dragon Fortress on the Stage. In fact, as long as you didn't refine the mortal pill on a large scale, refining 1 or 2 mortal pills occasionally was nothing. Even if someone found out about it, it wouldn't be a big deal. No one would hold you accountable. Not to mention, the soul that Yu Haoran needed to refine the human pill was from an enemy that would not rest until one of them was dead. No one would blame him. More importantly, refining the mortal pill was not easy. Not only did it require a high level of alchemy skills, but it also required a certain level of control over one's strength. Otherwise, one would not be able to extract the essence of the martial artist's flesh and soul. Therefore, ever since the secret method of refining the mortal pill was created, countless alchemists discovered that there were at least 3 prerequisites in order to refine the mortal pill using a martial artist's flesh and soul. The first precondition was that one's alchemy skills had to be at the Alchemy Emperor level, or at least have the alchemy skills of Alchemy Emperor. The second precondition was that one had to comprehend either the law of strength or the law of quantity, and thus be able to accurately control the energy of the alchemy fire extracted from the martial artist's flesh and soul. The third precondition was that one's mental state was strong enough to be able to remain as calm as water while refining the martial artist's flesh and soul. Because of these 3 prerequisites, there hadn't been a single alchemist in the profound sky continent who could refine the mortal pill for hundreds of thousands of years. Therefore, after hearing Sun Sichao's prediction of the pill that Yu Haoran was about to refine, the crowd was shocked, but their hearts were filled with anticipation and joy. They were anticipating and rejoicing that the mortal pill that hadn't appeared for hundreds of thousands of years would appear in front of them today. Of course, not everyone was anticipating and rejoicing that Yu Haoran could refine the mortal pill. For example, the purple-robed middle-aged man standing beside the purple dragon throne, as well as the gloomy Gu Sheng and the white-haired old man. Raising his head to look at Sun Sichao, who had guessed his plan, Yu Haoran retracted his gaze and closed his eyes, beginning to choose the ingredients that were suitable for refining the mortal pill. According to his own reserves of spirit medicines, the thousands of pill recipes he grasped, and then combined them with Gu Li's divine soul martial saint boundary, he finally decided to jump ranks and refine a pill that could help increase one's cultivation in the martial saint realm. It was a second-order, first-grade sovereign soul boosting pill. Because the time he had agreed to with the Hidden Dragon luck was only half an hour, refining the revered realm soul nourishing pill that was as high as the first rank of the second rank was also very time-consuming. Therefore, after opening his eyes, Yu Haoran did not delay too much and directly walked in front of Gu Li's soul. Gully, who had closed his eyes and waited for his death, panicked when he heard Sun Sichao point out what Yu Haoran was going to do to him. Death wasn't scary to him now. What was scary was that living was worse than death. It was a complete death without being able to reincarnate. Yu Haoran, as long as you don't use my spirit to refine pills, no matter what you ask me to do. Just as fear reclaimed his heart and Gully began to beg bitterly, Yu Haoran suddenly formed a seal with his 10 fingers, directly interrupting his pleading. Then, he sat cross-legged in front of Gully's soul and took out the 17 medicinal herbs that he had chosen. Third order, 9th grade bitter chase grass. Third order, 9th grade wood dragon ginseng. Third order, 9th grade soul condensing flower. Seeing that Yu Haoran had taken out a total of 17 medicinal herbs, all of which were third order, 9th grade top medicinal herbs, Sun Sichao whispered to himself as he pointed out the quality of each medicinal herb. At the same time, he quickly thought about the origin of these medicinal herbs. until Yu Haoran began to use the nihility pill condensation technique to condense the independent space of the pill fire. Sun Sichao still couldn't figure out the origin of these medicinal herbs. Therefore, in the face of the gazes and expectations of everyone present, he shook his head with a wry smile and said, "Everyone, please forgive my poor eyesight, but I really can't tell what grade and quality of pill the Elixir Emperor intends to refine." Even the alchemy grandmaster Sun Sichao, who was born in an elixir family, couldn't analyze what pill Yu Haoran intended to refine through the 17 medicinal herbs. Everyone present was slightly disappointed, and their eyes focused on Yu Haoran again. Yu Haoran, who was condensing the space of the pill fire, heard Sun Sichao's wry smile and sighed, and a trace of pride flashed in his heart. In fact, not to mention Sun Sichao, who was only in the alchemy grandmaster realm, didn't know, even a real elixir emperor couldn't analyze the supremacy realm benefit pill he intended to refine through the 17 medicinal herbs. Because the formula of the supremacy realm benefit pill was found in the cave residence left by an alchemy grandmaster in his previous life. It was a kind of pill created by the alchemy grandmaster. However, after successfully refining the pill, the alchemy grandmaster directly passed away, so he was the only one in the world who knew the formula and origin of the supremacy realm benefit pill. After successfully condensing the independent space of the pill fire, Yu Haoran continued to display the shocking alchemy technique. He directly threw the 17 Tier 3 and Tier 9 medicinal herbs into the independent space of the pill fire to melt and refine them at the same time. In just 3 minutes, the 17 Tier 3 and Tier 9 medicinal herbs were completely turned into drops of pure spiritual liquid. Looking at Gu Li's spirit, whose eyes were filled with endless fear, Yu Haoran took a deep breath and reached out to grab Gu Li's spirit. When he was about to throw it into the independent space of the pill fire, Gu Sheng, who was at the edge of the ring, pleaded in a hurried tone, "Yu Haoran, as long as you are willing to let go of my brother's spirit, not only am I willing to take out a supremacy realm tool as compensation, but I will also take the initiative to admit defeat in the next round." "No need." Coldly looking at Gu Sheng, Yu Haoran replied indifferently and directly threw Gu Li's spirit into the independent space of the pill fire. "Yu Haoran, you and I will fight to the death." Seeing Gu Li's spirit being thrown into the independent space of the pill fire, Gu Sheng's eyes directly burst into flames as he roared, "I'll wait for you." After retracting his gaze from Gu Sheng, Yu Haoran replied indifferently. Then his 10 fingers quickly formed a seal to increase the power of the pill fire and began to refine Gu Li's spirit bit by bit. As the pill fire's power kept increasing, it also burned the seal in Gu Li's spirit. This caused Gu Li, who was gradually being unsealed, to howl in pain. "Yu Haoran, Pill Emperor Yu, Prince Consort, please let me go. As long as you are willing to let go of my spirit, I promise you that I will sneak attack every woman in the Gu family and send them all to the brothels in Xianyang City." Chapter 1380. Hidden Dragon Fortress on the stage. Although Gu Li's soul's final thoughts were extremely crazy, Gu Sheng and the white-haired old man did not loudly berate him, nor did they viciously threaten him. They only stared at Yu Haoran with murderous eyes, as if they wished they could tear his flesh, chew his bones, and dig out his heart. Ignoring the howls and pleas of Gu Li's soul in the pill fire's independent space, Yu Haoran calmly continued to refine his soul without the slightest mistake during the refining process. Time passed second by second. As the refinement of his soul deepened, Gu Li's initial anguish, his curses after disappointment, and now his powerless groans all indicated that Yu Haoran's refining of Gu Li's soul was going very smoothly. Purified. 15 minutes later, when Gu Li's soul was left with only a head, Yu Haoran suddenly stood up, his 10 fingers forming hand seals 10 times faster than before, and at the same time, he roared. Boom! Accompanied by this roar, the pill fire's power instantly increased by 10 times, directly refining the head of Gu Li's soul into a spirit liquid the size of an adult's fist that contained a special aura. At the same time, Gu Li's final scream before his death came from the pill fire's independent space. After hearing the final scream of Gu Li's soul before his death, the white-haired old man in the stands suddenly breathed a sigh of relief, and then directly leaned back in his chair. Gu Sheng slowly closed his eyes, his anger completely disappearing. At the same time, an intense chill rose from his body that forced the people around him to stay 100 meters away. As for the spectators in the stands, a trace of pity flashed in their eyes. However, as Yu Haoran began to use the pill refining technique, the pity in the eyes of the spectators instantly disappeared without a trace. 17 third-tier, 9th-grade medicinal herbs could not possibly refine a second-tier, first-grade pill. To truly achieve a transformation in the grade of the pill, the key was the spirit liquid refined from Gu Li's soul. The spirit liquid refined from the soul contained both a trace of the power of principle and the essence of soul force. Therefore, the difficulty of refining soul force into a pill was dozens of times higher than refining spirit liquid from herbs. Before using the pill condensation technique, Yu Haoran took out 2 medicinal pills that were used to recover spirit energy and soul power and placed them under the tip of his tongue. When he needed them, his 10 fingers quickly began to use the pill condensation technique. At the same time, his first clone instantly appeared in his sea of consciousness. His 10 fingers formed a seal so that he could make up for Yu Haoran in time if he could not hold on any longer. Fortunately, he had refined pills for 3 days and 3 nights in the isolated space formed by the heaven-trapping rope. Not only had his pill Dao cultivation reached the peak of the Great Grandmaster realm, but he had also gained a qualitative improvement in the way he combined his origin power and soul power when refining pills. Therefore, until the soul force in the isolated space was completely refined into a pill, Yu Haoran not only did not make the slightest mistake, but he also did not use the 2 medicinal pills that he had placed under the tip of his tongue in advance. However, the process of refining the pills just now consumed a lot of his spirit energy and soul power. Therefore, while the pills were being nourished, he directly swallowed the 2 medicinal pills under the tip of his tongue. Then, with the help of the medicinal pills, he recovered his spirit energy and soul power. There are 3 difficulties in the process of refining a human pill. When he saw that Yu Haoran had successfully refined the soul force into a pill, Sun Siqiao heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, he could not help but show off on behalf of Yu Haoran. The first difficulty is the process of refining the physical body and soul. This requires a strong mental state cultivation and absolute control of power. The second difficulty is the process of refining the soul force into a pill. This not only requires the pill Dao cultivation of a pill emperor, but also requires a very profound pill refining experience. The third difficulty is the final process of forming the pill. At this point, Sun Siqiao looked up at the top of the hidden dragon fortress and said in a dignified tone, "Refining a pill with the physical body and soul of a living creature is a heaven-defying act. The heavens will not only destroy the refined pill, but also punish the alchemist who refined the pill." When he withdrew his gaze, Sun Siqiao inadvertently saw the 7 venerables in midair. After a gloating smile flashed in his eyes, he looked back at Yu Haoran and waited quietly for the next pill division and pill formation. After nearly 9 minutes of nourishment, the pills in the isolated space of the pill fire were finally considered to have reached the stage of pill division, just as Sun Siqiao had shown off for him just now. Even if it was the venerable state benefit pill refined with the soul force, the process of nourishment and pill division was exactly the same as ordinary pills. Therefore, after using the void condensing pill to easily divide the pills into 9 pills, Yu Haoran continued to use the pills to recover his strength that had not yet reached the peak. After all, the pill tribulation was not only aimed at the pills, but also at him, the alchemist who refined the pills. He must maintain his peak state to deal with the tribulation. Just as Yu Haoran was trying his best to recover the spirit power and soul power that he had consumed, the 9 pills in the isolated space of the pill fire suddenly formed 9 traction forces and began to gather the scattered soul power between heaven and earth. As the power of the traction force continued to increase and the range of the traction continued to expand, everyone on the scene gradually felt that there was a very gentle energy in the central square. One of the martial artists at the peak of the 7th level martial saint secretly absorbed a trace of it, and then his face was full of shock as he shouted involuntarily. Soul power. The energy gathered in the square is pure soul power that can be directly used to improve one's cultivation. The involuntary shout of the peak of the 7th level martial saint immediately aroused the greed of countless people on the scene. They immediately ran their cultivation methods and martial skills and began to compete with the 9 pills in the isolated space of the pill fire for pure soul power. Don't absorb that pure soul power. As an alchemist of the martial grandmaster realm, Sun Sichao vaguely felt a strange energy aura in addition to the pure soul power gathered in the central square. It was because of the attraction of that strange energy aura that he did not have time to inform the people on the scene in advance, which led to the martial artist at the peak of the 7th level martial saint secretly absorbing the pure soul power. Because the pure soul power gathered by the 9 pills using the traction force is the energy that they use to resist the pill tribulation. Whoever absorbs the pure soul power will be contaminated with the aura of the pills and become the target of the pill tribulation. The martial artists who were about to absorb the pure soul power immediately stopped running their cultivation methods and martial skills. The martial artists who had already absorbed the pure soul power directly soared into the sky with a gloomy face, intending to leave the hidden dragon castle where the pills were undergoing the tribulation. Chapter 1381. In the arena of the hidden dragon fortress, the black-robed old man, who was also secretly absorbing the pure soul power in the air, said to the 7-colored dragon head and purple-robed middle-aged expert with a slightly anxious expression. Lord Hidden Dragon, Lord Amethyst Elder, I need to leave the hidden dragon fortress for a while. Leave quickly. The purple-robed middle-aged expert quickly nodded in agreement. However, the 7-colored dragon head that was condensed from the hidden dragon providence revealed a trace of human mockery in its eyes. As the suction force formed by the 9 pills in the pill fire independent space began to weaken, more and more dark clouds gradually gathered above the hidden dragon fortress. When the dark clouds had thickened to a certain extent, everyone present could clearly see thumb-sized, purple lightning flashing in the dark clouds from time to time. Level 2 pills. The pills that Pill Emperor you refine this time are not only targeted at the soul, but they're also level 2 and above. According to the thickness of the dark clouds above his head and the purple lightning flashing thicker and thicker, Sun Sichao was both worried and excited as he shouted loudly. Sun Sichao's speculation about the quality and level of the pills immediately attracted the interest of all the martial honorables present. Level 2 pills could only be refined by Pill Emperor alchemists. Therefore, not only were there fewer and fewer pills above level 2 in the entire Tianxian continent, pills that were specifically targeted at the soul were even rarer. Therefore, some of the martial honorables present had already begun to check the storage devices to see what kind of price they would have to pay in order to exchange for the pills that would allow them to pass the pill tribulation from Yu Haoran. When the suction force formed by the 9 pills in the independent space disappeared, Yu Haoran, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly stood up. When he took out the upper-level honorable realm white staff, the Rui bell instantly merged into his body. Then, he raised his head to look at the dark clouds that gave off a very oppressive aura. His expression gradually became serious. After the 9 elixirs absorbed the last trace of pure soul power in the independent space of the elixir fire, Yu Haoran immediately withdrew the condensed independent space of the elixir fire and the Dantian fire in the independent space. Then, He began to prepare to face the lightning tribulation together with the 9 supremacy realm-gained spirit pills. As the 9 pills were completely exposed to the dark clouds, hundreds and thousands of thumb-sized purple lightning bolts immediately shot out from the dark clouds. However, to everyone's surprise, the target of the purple lightning wasn't the 9 pills or Yuhauren. Instead, it was the powerhouses who had secretly absorbed the pure soul power and left the hidden dragon fortress in advance. Sun Si Chao, what's going on? Among the hundreds and thousands of purple lightning bolts, there was a purple lightning bolt that was as thick as an arm that was heading straight for the black-robed old man who had left the hidden dragon fortress in advance. The purple-clothed, middle-aged man asked with a gloomy expression, "Apothecary's son definitely doesn't know what's going on. Let me explain." Sun Si Chao's series of explanations and exclamations about his alchemy had caused the sensation of him using Gu Li's soul to reach its peak. It was very beneficial for him to use the pill tribulation to deal with the white-haired old man from the Gu clan. He needed to accept the other party's kindness. At the same time, if Sun Si Chao were to explain in detail why the people who had left the hidden dragon fortress were attacked by the lightning tribulation, he would definitely be hated by the purple-clothed, middle-aged man and the forces behind those powerhouses who had died in the pill tribulation. It was very likely that he would be killed. It was reasonable for him to help Sun Si Chao get rid of this fatal danger. So he took the initiative to take responsibility for Sun Si Chao. When Yuhauren took the initiative to speak, Sun Si Chao immediately thought of the risk he had taken in a moment of selfishness. At the same time, he felt a burst of fear and cast a grateful look at Yuhauren. Yuhauren looked at the black-robed old man who was desperately running back to the hidden dragon fortress and explained with a cold smile, "Greedily absorbing pure soul power and tainting yourself with the aura of the pill tribulation. Running away without permission is tantamount to provoking the heavens. If the heavens don't destroy you first, how can the heavens show its might? The purple lightning will affect me to a certain extent. Don't let him enter the hidden dragon fortress." The 7-colored dragon head formed by the hidden dragon fortune instructed the purple-clothed middle-aged man before it merged into the list. Seeing the 7-colored dragon head merge into the list, the purple-clothed middle-aged man's eyes flashed with a trace of astonishment. If the purple lightning affected you, then the first person to be expelled should be Yuhauren, who caused the pill tribulation, and not the black-robed venerable who is loyal to you. The strong dissatisfaction and unwillingness in his heart made the purple-clothed middle-aged man have the impulse to resist the hidden dragon fortune's order for the first time. However, the meticulous white-robed old man immediately reminded him with his spiritual sense. "Amethyst Elder, a trace of our soul is still on the list. If you go against the hidden dragon lord's order, you can imagine the consequences." The white-robed old man's reminder made the purple-clothed middle-aged man's dissatisfaction and unwillingness to submit immediately disappear. He, who cherished his life, immediately rushed toward the black-robed old man who was about to enter the hidden dragon fortress. The purple chi from the East Palm technique not only sent the unprepared black-robed old man flying, but also caused him to be instantly injured and die tragically under the attack of the purple lightning. Following the black-robed old man's tragic death, the purple lightning shot out from the dark clouds and immediately targeted the 9 pills and Yuhauren. Taking a deep breath, just as Yuhauren was about to soar into the sky, Fowling suddenly reminded him with a pleasant surprise. Yuhauren used the secret technique of the witch ancestor to tear the void and change the direction of the purple lightning attack. I will use the real victor to forcefully absorb and suppress the purple lightning. It won't affect you and the victor, right? The purple lightning was the product of the heavenly punishment. It was completely different from ordinary lightning, so Yuhauren asked with some concern. Originally, I didn't have full confidence that I could recover to the demigod realm with only the 2nd level 9th rank purple spirit embryo fruit. Now that I have the purple lightning from the heavenly punishment, The demigod realm is in the bag. Hearing the excitement in Thaling's voice, Howren, who was completely relieved, immediately used the law of speed of the perfection stage and instantly jumped over the 9 pills. Immediately after, he released his own dense aura of a pill master and used it to attract more purple lightning attacks. When more than 2/3 of the purple lightning was attracted by the aura of a pill master and rapidly attacked him, Howren stretched out his hand and tore the void barrier above his head. The purple lightning that was rapidly rushing over couldn't change its direction of attack and scuttled into the void crack. What a joke! Seeing Howren use the method of tearing the void to deal with the purple lightning, the white-haired old man from the Goo family sneered with extreme disdain and explained to himself. Chapter 1382. In the Arena of the Hidden Dragon Fortress. Although the explanation that the white-haired elder of the Goo clan had just muttered to himself wasn't wrong, with Howren's shrewdness, he definitely wouldn't do such a stupid thing. He definitely had other methods to deal with the purple thunderbolts. Therefore, everyone at the scene stared at the torn space, watching how Howren dealt with the purple thunderbolts that had escaped from the space crack. However, to everyone's surprise, the hundreds of purple thunderbolts that had been transferred into the space crack seemed to have disappeared into thin air. Even when the second wave of purple thunderbolts shot out from the dark clouds above the hidden dragon fortress, the purple thunderbolts in the space crack still didn't appear. Howren, all the purple thunderbolts have been sealed into the victor. After receiving the reply from Thaling in his sea of consciousness, Howren secretly let out a sigh of relief. At the same time, he directly rushed towards the purple thunderbolts in high spirits. Apart from the dozen purple thunderbolts that had been purposely seeped into the pill tribulation, the rest of the purple thunderbolts had all been sealed into the victor through the space crack. Although everyone at the scene was attracted by the huge pill tribulation and no one paid attention to the expression of the white-haired elder of the Goo clan, the elder of the Goo clan, who felt that he'd been ruthlessly slapped in the face, immediately felt his face burning. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to know what kind of pill Howren had refined, and if it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to see with his own eyes how Gu Shang defeated Howren step by step, he was afraid that he would have left the hidden dragon fortress long ago. After all, the feeling of taking the initiative to stretch out his face and then being slapped by the opponent was too embarrassing. As if completely enraged by Howren's insidious method of crossing the tribulation, the remaining 7,000 purple thunderbolts in the dark clouds suddenly shot out all at once, and their target was only Howren. Thaling, are you confident? Howren asked worriedly as he looked at the purple lightning bolts that filled the sky. Howren, as long as you can transfer all of these purple lightning bolts into the void crack, I'll be able to seal all of them with my victor, Thaling replied confidently. After receiving Thaling's confident reply, Howren nodded silently. He then took a deep breath and directly activated 100% of the ancestral wizard's physical body. He began to perform the secret technique of the 12 ancient wizards that he had just mastered. Although Howren's body did not change at all, his arms and palms began to grow longer and bigger as the 12 ancient witches cast their secret technique. What secret technique is this? The peak martial saint in the North spectator stand, who had evaluated Howren 3 times before, cried out involuntarily in shock when he saw the arms and palms growing larger and larger. I don't know either. Another peak martial saint in the crowd shook his head and replied with a puzzled look in his eyes. Regardless of whether it was the transformation secret technique cast with the help of the blood essence of a strange beast or the secret technique of the inherited bloodline, the transformation was an overall change. He had never heard of any secret technique that could change a part of the body. However, when faced with this kind of secret technique that could change a part of the body, some of the male warriors with impure thoughts on the scene had unbearable images in their minds. Even some of the warriors from the big forces who were greedy for pleasure were thinking about how they could exchange for this secret technique from Howren so that they could restore their masculinity as men. When his arms had grown to 100 meters and his palms were as big as mountains, Yu Haoran then cast the ancestral wizard's secret technique of tearing open the void crack. He directly tore open a huge crack that was about 1,000 meters long and a few hundred meters wide. This also allowed the purple lightning bolts that had just rushed down to rush into the void crack like a waterfall. As the dark clouds released all of the purple lightning bolts at once, the lightning tribulation that originally required 9 pill tribulations was only completed 3 times before it could no longer continue. Raising his head to look at the milky white liquid that was gradually condensing in the dark clouds, Yu Haoran sensed it slightly and knew that the pill tribulation, lightning tribulation's reward this time was specifically targeted at the soul. And this was exactly what he needed now. Therefore, he slowly descended to the same position as the 9 pills and then sat down cross-legged with his knees bent. This way, not only would it not affect the final grade of the pills, but he would also be able to obtain enough pure soul power to allow the realm of his soul to be the same as the realm of his physical body, advancing to the beginning stage of a first-grade martial saint. As the milky white soul liquid that emitted pure soul power descended from the sky, it split into 10 streams and merged into Yu Haoran and the 9 pills. The eyes of everyone present revealed looks of envy. Why was it that the higher the realm of the pill Tao of the profound sky continent, the more respect an alchemist would receive? The reason was not only because they could refine higher-grade pills, but also because they could use special high-grade pills to increase their cultivation and strength. Therefore, the higher the realm of the pill Tao, the faster the speed at which the alchemist's cultivation would increase. Of course, cultivation did not equate to strength, and realm did not equate to battle prowess. Because alchemists were too engrossed in the research of pills, they rarely paid attention to the cultivation of martial arts. At the same time, their special status meant that they rarely had bloody conflicts with others. This caused alchemists to have very high cultivation, but very ordinary battle prowess. If not for this, why would the Valley of the Medicine Masters, which had more than 10 alchemists and 2 alchemy grandmasters, be suppressed by the Emperor Qin's kingdom? If not for this, how could the Sun family, which had inherited the legacy of the pill god from ancient times, be ordered and threatened by others? But Yu Haoran was different. Not only did he have a monstrous talent in the pill Tao that far surpassed most alchemists, but his talent and potential in martial arts, his persistent pursuit of the peak of martial arts, as well as his fearless killing, were all things that other alchemists could not compare to. Therefore, when everyone saw Yu Haoran using the pure soul power from the Thunder Tribulation to increase his cultivation, other than envy, there was also deep respect and worship in their eyes. The power of the pill tribulation that the second-level first-rank exalted state benefit pill endured far exceeded all the pills that he had refined before that could trigger the pill tribulation. Moreover, using a martial artist's soul as the main ingredient to refine the exalted state benefit pill was a heaven-defying act that could not be tolerated by heaven and earth. The power of the pill tribulation was even more terrifying. As the saying goes, there are 2 sides to everything. The stronger the power of the pill tribulation, the greater the risk of the pill and the alchemist going through the tribulation. However, the benefits after successfully going through the tribulation were also far beyond imagination. After absorbing the pure white soul fluid for almost half an hour, the dark clouds above the hidden dragon fortress finally dissipated. After carefully feeling the effects of absorbing the pure soul fluid from the Thunder Tribulation, Yu Haoran could not suppress the joy in his heart, and a smile appeared on his face. Chapter 1383. Hidden Dragon Fortress, Midair. At this moment, he didn't need any external assistance, nor did he need the support of the Hidden Dragon luck. He could easily break through the realm of Martial Venerable, and he could even raise his cultivation to the peak of first-grade Martial Venerable in one fell swoop. Of course, In order to be able to achieve the limit of his talent and potential when breaking through the realm of martial venerable, Yu Haoran finally suppressed the urge to break through his cultivation. Then he looked at the 9 Supreme Realm benefit pills that had also absorbed the pure soul liquid for half an hour. After raising his hand and absorbing an Exalt Realm benefit spirit pill, Yu Haoran was pleasantly surprised to discover that the final grade of the Exalt Realm benefit spirit pill had reached the 3rd grade of the 2nd rank, far exceeding his initial expectations. At the same time, the energy contained in the pill to raise the realm of martial venerable was more abundant, which was more conducive to completing his next plan. Yu Haoran took out 9 empty pill bottles and stored 9 rank 2 and tier 3 Exalted Realm benefiting spirit pills respectively, after which he slowly landed on the stage. After which he cupped his hands together and thanked the ranking board above his head. After all, the time of refining pills, thunder tribulation, and absorbing pure soul power added together had far exceeded his agreement with the hidden dragon luck. However, the hidden dragon luck didn't destroy the opportunity he had obtained because of exceeding the agreed time, and gave him enough time to use the pure soul liquid to improve his divine soul cultivation. Yu Haoran needed to remind the hidden dragon luck that he had remembered this favor by thanking it. I'll give you half an hour to deal with the refined pills. Yu Haoran tactfully thanked him, which made the hidden dragon luck very satisfied. At the same time, it gave him a differential treatment that made countless people envious and jealous, which made the purple-clothed middle-aged man even more dissatisfied. Thank you. Yu Haoran hurriedly cupped his hands to thank him. Yu Haoran originally wanted to deal with the 9 rank 2, rank 3 Exalted Realm Spirit benefit pills after he finished his battle of attrition. However, with the continuous passage of time and the influence of the battle of attrition, everyone's desire for the Supreme Realm benefit pills would gradually decrease, which would inevitably affect the final effect of his plan. Therefore, Yu Haoran was very grateful to the Hidden Dragon Providence for giving him preferential treatment. At the same time, he knew that the Hidden Dragon Providence had probably guessed his thoughts. After thanking the list in midair, Yu Haoran took out a pill bottle that contained a rank 2, rank 3 Exalted Realm Spirit benefit pill. He wrapped it with his spirit energy and sent it to Sun Xichao. Senior Sun, this pill is for you. Giving Sun Xichao a 2nd stage, 3rd grade Venerable State benefit spirit pill. In addition to repaying him for inadvertently helping him, he also needed to use his knowledge in alchemy to explain the powerful effect of the 2nd stage, 3rd grade Venerable State benefit spirit pill. In this way, he could eliminate the misunderstanding that might be formed by the crowd, as well as the hatred and slander of some people at the scene. Using Gu Li's spirit to refine the forbidden mortal pill that had not appeared for hundreds of thousands of years, the pill that had just suffered a terrifying pill tribulation. In the face of Yu Haoran's gift of such a precious pill, although Sun Xichao knew that he was not qualified to accept the gift, he could not control himself at all. He instinctively reached out to take the pill bottle and immediately poured out the pill in the pill bottle. The grade has reached rank 2, rank 3. As soon as the Venerable State benefit spirit pill was in his hand, Sun Xichao could not help but shout in shock. Sun Xichao's shout made the peerless martial venerables, who were already very expectant, immediately excited. The peerless martial venerables at the top of the stands immediately straightened their bodies and looked at Sun Xichao, looking forward to his further explanation of the rank 2, rank 3 pill in his hand. As if sensing the expectant gazes of the people around him, Sun Xichao suppressed the shock in his heart and began to carefully observe the rank 2, rank 3 pill in his hand. The inside of the pill contains an unimaginably pure soul power and a trace of the special aura of the power of law. I think the effect of this rank 2, rank 3 pill is probably aimed at the peak of rank 9 martial venerable and the almighty powerhouse of the quasi-emperor Wu realm. Although Sun Xichao's alchemy cultivation was ordinary, his knowledge of alchemy was not inferior to a peak alchemy grandmaster or an ordinary alchemy emperor. Therefore, Yu Haoran nodded in agreement with his introduction of a rank 2, rank 3 Venerable State Benefit Spirit Pill. That's right, the effect of this pill is aimed at the peak of rank 9 Martial Venerable and the almighty powerhouse of the Quasi-Emperor Wu realm. At this point, Yu Haoran's gaze swept across all the peerless martial venerables around the stands and continued. Moreover, the effect is even greater for peerless powerhouses below the peak of rank 9 Martial Venerable. After hearing Sun Sichao's detailed explanation of the pill in his hand and Yu Haoran's nod in agreement and addition, the ordinary peerless martial venerables in the stand stood up directly. The peerless martial venerables even widened their eyes and looked at Yu Haoran in the arena at the same time. Their eyes were filled with strong desire. Taking a deep breath, Sun Sichao suppressed the excitement in his heart and asked in an unusually respectful manner, "Alchemy Emperor Yu, may I know the name of the pill that you just refined and what is its shocking origin?" "Senior Sun, this pill is called the Venerable State Benefit Spirit Pill. It is a pill that I created myself," Yu Haoran replied calmly. In fact, his introduction of the Venerable State Benefit Spirit Pill was not false. Although the pill formula of the Venerable State Benefit Spirit Pill was created by the Alchemy Grandmaster, he used Gu Li's Divine Soul to replace the main ingredient and 4 other rank 3, rank 9 medicinal ingredients to replace the 4 long-lost auxiliary medicinal ingredients. It was not an exaggeration to say that the Venerable State Benefit Spirit Pill was his original creation. Although Yu Haoran's expression was very calm when he mentioned that the rank 2, rank 3 Venerable State Benefit Spirit Pill was his original creation, it brought an unimaginable shock to everyone present, especially for Sun Sichao, who had amazing alchemy knowledge, and for the top martial venerable peerless powerhouse in the stands who knew the scarcity of high-grade elixirs. His explanation just now was undoubtedly a bolt from the blue. "Alchemy Emperor Yu, it's not that I doubt your alchemy ability, but is this rank 2, rank 3 Venerable State Benefit Spirit Pill really your original creation?" Barely suppressing the shock that kept emerging in his heart, Sun Sichao asked with some difficulty. Because being able to refine a rank 2, rank 3 top elixir and creating a pill formula of a rank 2, rank 3 top elixir not only represented a completely different meaning, but also the achievements that one could achieve in the future were also worlds apart. Being able to refine a rank 2, rank 3 top elixir could only mean that one had the top talent in alchemy and powerful alchemy ability. Whether one could become a pill god in alchemy in the future depended on one's luck. To be able to create a pill formula of a rank 2, rank 3 top elixir, the talent in alchemy and alchemy ability were only secondary. The key was the shocking perception and vast experience. Moreover, to be able to create a rank 2 elixir pill formula, one was fully qualified to establish a sect that focused on alchemy, and the grade would also be directly listed as a first-class sect. Chapter 1384. Hidden Dragon Fortress on the Arena. He also knew what kind of shocking shock his explanation of the rank 2 third-grade Venerable State Benefit Pill would bring to everyone present. Therefore, in the face of Sun Sichao's overly rude questioning, Yu Haoran not only did not get angry, but he directly took out a blank jade slip from the storage ring. Except for the main medicinal ingredient that was replaced with Gu Li's soul, there were a total of 2 pill recipes for the remaining 17 auxiliary medicinal ingredients. One was the pill recipe created by the Peak Alchemy Grandmaster, and the other was the pill recipe after replacing 4 medicinal ingredients. Using divine thought to input the 2 pill recipes into the blank jade slip, and then using Yuan Li to wrap the jade slip in front of Sun Sichao, Yu Haoran's tone seemed ordinary, but it was actually quite arrogant. "Senior Sun, there's the pill recipe for refining the Venerable State Benefit Pill in the jade slip. If you carefully experience it, you will find that it is not difficult to create a new kind of pill." After receiving the jade slip excitedly, Sun Sichao did not immediately check the pill recipe in the jade slip. Instead, he directly raised his left hand and swore to the heavens that he would never disclose the pill recipe of the venerable state benefit pill. Then he began to use his mind to check the 2 pill recipes in the jade slip. While checking, he carefully pondered over the pill recipe. 3 minutes later, Sun Xichao, who withdrew his mind from the jade slip, looked at Yu Haoran with unconcealable shock and a trace of pain and helplessness in his eyes. Staring at Yu Haoran for a full minute, Sun Xichao finally said with a wry smile, "Alchemy Emperor Yu, if it weren't for the ancient rule in the family that the direct descendants are not allowed to join another sect, even if I kneel in front of the prince's mansion, I would ask you to accept me as your disciple." Sun Xichao was not only a strong alchemy grandmaster, but also a knowledgeable genius with rich alchemy experience. At the same time, the ancestor of the Sun family behind him was also a strong alchemy master. Under such circumstances, Sun Xichao wanted to kneel and worship Yu Haoran as his master, which was enough to show how shocking the pill recipe of the venerable state benefit pill was. Senior Sun is overpraising. The path of alchemy is just an auxiliary cultivation path that Junior is slightly interested in. In the face of Sun Xichao's exclamation and helplessness, Yu Haoran immediately replied modestly, "This Junior does not have the qualifications to guide an alchemy grandmaster like you, nor do I have the intention to establish a sect to pass down alchemy." Sun Xichao directly crushed the jade slip in his hand, and then utilized the method of wrapping his origin energy to send the pill bottle that contained the Exalt Realm Benefit Spirit pill back to Yu Haoran. Many thanks for Pill Emperor Yu's generosity, but a second-tier 3rd-rank revered realm benefiting spirit pill is too precious. This Junior is ashamed to accept it, Yu Haoran said overbearingly as he waved his sleeves and swept the pill bottle towards Sun Xichao with a powerful force. "Ever since I, Yu Haoran, made my debut, no one has ever rejected my gift. I hope that Senior Sun won't make me angry." Looking at the pill bottle that was bounced back into his hand, Yu Haoran's domineering instructions echoed in his ears. Sun Xichao could only gratefully accept the 2nd-rank, 3rd-rank Exalt Realm Spirit Benefit pill. "Pill Emperor Yu, I wonder if you are selling the 2nd-rank, 3rd-rank Exalt Realm Spirit Benefit pill in your hands?" The peerless martial honorable who had once evaluated Yu Haoran on the north side of the spectator stand asked with anticipation in his eyes. "Of course." Without any hesitation, Yu Haoran smiled and nodded in response. "I wonder how many Exalt Realm Spirit Benefit pills you are planning to sell, and what are your conditions?" Hearing that Yu Haoran was willing to sell the Exalt Realm Spirit Benefit pill in his hands, the peerless martial honorable immediately asked excitedly. 7. At the same time as responding to the peerless martial honorable, Yu Haoran directly took out 8 pill bottles that contained the Exalt Realm Spirit Benefit pill. One of the pill bottles was wrapped in origin energy and sent to Emperor Qin. Without any hesitation, the Qin Emperor took the elixir bottle and kept it in his storage ring. In any case, during the Hidden Dragon battle, the entire Tianxin continent was not allowed to have any conflicts. He was not worried that someone would covet the Exalt Realm Spirit Benefit pill in his hands. By the time the 5 regions Hidden Dragon ranking battle ended, he would have already used the Exalt Realm Spirit Benefit pill to increase his cultivation and strength. He would not have to worry about anyone coming to fight for it, seeing that he had directly given Emperor Qin an Exalt Realm Spirit Benefit pill without any conditions, not to mention the surrounding spectators who were envious. Even the purple-clothed middle-aged expert and the 5 martial honorables in the air revealed looks of envy and jealousy in their eyes. The 7 pills will be sold together, and there is only one condition. After the 5 regions Hidden Dragon ranking battle ends, help me protect Emperor Qin's kingdom for 3 years and ensure that my family and friends will not suffer the revenge and harm of some treacherous villains. Yu Haoran's gaze swept across the spectators in the stands, as well as the purple-robed, middle-aged expert and the others in midair. He placed all the pill bottles into one pill bottle and then stated his request. Faced with Yu Haoran's conditions, The white-haired old man from the Gu clan suddenly soared into the air and threatened with a cold expression. I'm sure everyone is well aware of the Gu clan's background. Don't ruin your family's life because of a moment of greed. Faced with the Gu clan's white-haired old man's threat, not to mention the ordinary martial honorables, even the few peak martial honorables at the top of the northern viewing platform revealed looks of hesitation in their eyes. After all, the Gu clan's ancestral bloodline's secret transformation technique was too powerful. It was not something they could easily provoke. You, Howren, I wonder if I have the opportunity to obtain the Exalt Realm Spirit Benefit Pill. Just when everyone present was unable to decide whether to trade with you, Howren, due to the Gu clan's white-haired old man's threat, the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert in the air suddenly asked. After that, to everyone's surprise, Yu Howren didn't turn hostile and refuse the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert's interrogation. Instead, he tossed the pill bottle that contained the Exalted State Benefit Pill to the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert. Faced with Yu Howren's unexpected action, the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert was slightly stunned. However, he still hurriedly caught the bottle and poured out one of the Exalt Realm Spirit Benefit Pills to examine and sense it carefully. When he sensed the weak aura within the Exalt Realm Spirit Benefit Pill that could guide the laws into the soul and body, the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert could not help but tremble slightly. He looked at Yu Howren in disbelief. Pill Emperor Yu, are you sure you want to trade with us? The purple-clothed, middle-aged expert's tone unconsciously became respectful. As long as you agree to protect the Emperor Qin's kingdom for 3 years, I'll agree to trade with you, Yu Howren confirmed with a nod. Chapter 1385. In the Arena of the Hidden Dragon Fortress. With the help of the Rank 2, Rank 3 Honorable Realm Benefit Pill, their cultivation will reach the peak of 9th grade Martial Honored Realm in 3 months to half a year. Raising his hand and pointing at the 5 old men in green, white, red, blue, and green robes, Yu Howren directly explained the powerful effect of the Realm Benefit Spirit Pill on them. His gaze returned to the middle-aged powerhouse in purple and continued to speak. As for you, Amethyst Elder, the Rank 2, Rank 3 Honorable Realm Benefit Pill can increase your chances of breaking through to Emperor Wu's realm by 10%. After Yu Howren explained the powerful effects of the Rank 2, Rank 3 Supreme Realm Benefit Pill on the 6 Supreme Realm Venerables of the Hidden Dragon Fortress, all the top martial venerables stood up and looked at the purple-robed middle-aged man in shock. They were waiting for his reply. Yes and no. However, to everyone's surprise, the purple-robed middle-aged man gave an ambiguous answer. Amethyst Elder, what do you mean? A top martial honored realm expert from the north side asked. Yes, it's because the Rank 2, Rank 3 Honorable Realm Benefit Pill can increase the cultivation of the 5 honorables to the peak of 9th grade Martial Honored Realm. The middle-aged man in purple smiled and explained as he turned to look at the top Martial Honored Realm experts on the north side of the stands. No, the Rank 2, Rank 3 Honorable Realm Benefit Pill can increase my chances of breaking through to Emperor Wu's realm by 20%. Sizzle. After hearing the middle-aged man's explanation, all the top Martial Honored Realm experts couldn't help but gasp. Then, they looked angrily at the white-haired elder from the Gu clan who was still floating in the air. If it wasn't for his threat that made them hesitate, the middle-aged man in purple wouldn't have had the chance to make a deal with Yu Howren. At that moment, they could only stare angrily at the white-haired elder from the Gu clan and hope that Yu Howren would reject the deal because of the Rank 2, Rank 3 Honorable Realm Benefit Pill's effect on the middle-aged man in purple. Pill Emperor Yu, do you still agree to trade with us? The purple-robed, middle-aged expert asked nervously as he put the pill bottle back into the pill bottle. After all, the Hidden Dragon Providence treated Yu Howren differently, as well as the special relationship between them and the Hidden Dragon Providence, made it impossible for him to use forceful means to seize the Supreme Realm Benefit Divine Pill. After the Hidden Dragon ranking battle in the southern region ends, I will refine a special pill to break through to the Pill Emperor realm. Even if I don't use the human pill method, I can easily refine a higher-grade revered realm benefit pill. Although Yu Haoran didn't directly answer the purple-clothed, middle-aged powerhouse's question, his contempt for the Exalt Realm Gain Spirit pill fully explained his attitude. Pill Emperor Yu, do the six of us need to swear on the heavenly Tao? Yu Haoran's contemptuous attitude made the purple-robed, middle-aged expert secretly relieved. At the same time, he hurriedly expressed his and the others' attitudes. No need. Yu Haoran shook his head and looked at the list. I understand. Seeing Yu Haoran's gaze on the list, the purple-robed, middle-aged expert immediately knew why he didn't need them to swear on the heavenly Tao. As he nodded to indicate that he understood, he also gave the pills in his hand to the 5 venerables behind him. Looking at the remaining Rank 2, Rank 3 Supreme Realm Benefit Divine pill in his hand, the purple-robed, middle-aged expert thought of the black-robed old man who had died under the Thunder Calamity and asked Yu Haoran with a trace of regret. Pill Emperor Yu, do you need me to cancel the rules of the Wheel of Attrition Battle? No need. Shaking his head and rejecting the purple-robed, middle-aged expert's good intentions, Yu Haoran looked at Gu Sheng, who was standing at the edge of the arena and exuding a cold aura. All right. Understanding the meaning of Yu Haoran's rejection, the purple-robed, middle-aged expert nodded and then sat back on the purple dragon throne. Not only did the purple-robed, middle-aged expert accept the deal of protecting the great Emperor Qin Kingdom, but he also took the initiative to show goodwill to Yu Haoran. This made the white-haired elder of the Gu clan instantly gloomy. This meant that within the next 3 years, the Gu clan would not be able to avenge Gu Li, and it also gave Yu Haoran enough time to improve his cultivation and strength. However, what surprised the white-haired elder of the Gu clan even more was the attitude of the crowd towards him. Gu Jie, if it weren't for the rules of the Hidden Dragon ranking battle, I would have killed you right now. The peerless martial venerable who had once evaluated Yu Haoran stared at Gu Jie with murderous intent. Now, immediately, get out of the Hidden Dragon fortress. Don't let me see you again. Otherwise, after the 5 regions Hidden Dragon ranking battle, I will not be able to control the murderous intent in my heart and do something irrational. Just as Gu Jie was about to fight back, the other 3 peerless martial venerables on the north side of the stand stood up at the same time. Elder Fu, let's do it together. You, pointing at the 4 peerless martial venerables who had threatened him, Gu Jie was both furious and fearful. He did not know how to fight back. However, at this moment, the purple-robed, middle-aged expert who was sitting on the purple dragon throne suddenly chased him away. Gu Jie, the Hidden Dragon Fortress in the southern region does not welcome you either. Leave immediately. Faced with the purple-robed, middle-aged expert's expulsion, Gu Jie immediately panicked. He was different from the 4 peerless martial venerables who had chased him away. Their cultivation and the strength of the forces behind them were similar. They had only threatened him verbally. Even if he did not leave the Hidden Dragon Fortress, they would not dare to do anything to him. However, the purple-robed, middle-aged expert was different. The Hidden Dragon Fortress belonged to the World Purification Organization, which was created by the Hidden Dragon Fate. The World Purification Organization was a powerful force whose overall strength was not inferior to the 4 Great Guardian families. Moreover, the purple-robed, middle-aged expert's cultivation was at the peak of the 9th grade Venerable Realm. He could use the means of the competition rules to give the purple-robed, middle-aged expert the strength and opportunity to kill him. The culprit who could make the purple-robed, middle-aged expert target him was Yu Haoran, who had used the divine souls of the Gu family disciples to refine the Venerable Realm soul-boosting elixir. Therefore, before Gu Jie was forced to leave the Hidden Dragon Fortress, he ordered Gu Sheng, who was standing at the edge of the arena with his eyes closed. Gu Sheng, I don't care what means you use. You must kill Yu Haoran. Otherwise, you don't have to return to the Gu family. Gu Sheng slowly opened his eyes and glanced at Gu Jie. He did not say anything and closed his eyes again. However, the strong killing intent condensed into a big word, die, which was enough to show his attitude towards Yu Haoran. Chapter 1386. In the Arena of the Hidden Dragon Fortress. Just after Gu Jie left the Hidden Dragon Fortress unwillingly, the ranking list, which had been quiet for nearly an hour, shook again. The contestant ranked 41st on the ranking list was forcibly brought to the arena. I admit defeat. With the Supreme Grade Venerable Realm Glove and the transformation secret method of his ancestral bloodline, Gu Li's strength had reached the martial Venerable Realm. Even Gu Li, who had the strength of a martial Venerable, was easily killed by Yu Haoran. The contestant ranked 41st on the ranking list, whose strength was only at the third tribulation quasi-martial Venerable Realm, did not dare to take the initiative to provoke him. Moreover, after the relationship between them had been mended by the Supreme Grade Gain Pill, the purple-clothed middle-aged expert had already taken the initiative to cancel the tempting promise. Therefore, not only did the contestant ranked 41st on the ranking list admit defeat, but the contestants ranked 40th to 17th on the ranking list also admitted defeat. Senior brother, since we first met, it seems that we have never really fought. Wu Jingjun, who ranked 16th on the ranking list, did not admit defeat immediately after being forcibly brought to the arena. Instead, his eyes revealed a strong desire to fight. Zhengjun, could it be that you want to exchange pointers with me? Faced with Wu Zhengjun's strong desire to fight, Yu Haoran took out the Supreme Grade Venerable Realm Staff and asked with a smile. Nodding, Wu Zhengjun turned his head to look at Gu Sheng, who had retracted his strong, murderous aura and closed his eyes again. He shook his head and said, Senior brother, after the Hidden Dragon ranking battle of the 5 regions is over, when you and I successfully reach the martial Venerable Realm, why don't we have a good fight? I have no problem with that. I'm just worried that you will take the initiative to back down. Faced with Wu Zhengjun's challenge, Yu Haoran's eyes revealed a hint of ridicule. Senior brother, am I, Wu Zhengjun, the kind of person who will back down? After replying with a smile, Wu Zhengjun looked up at the ranking list and admitted defeat. I admit defeat. After Wu Zhengjun left the arena, the smile on Yu Haoran's face gradually disappeared. On the other hand, Emperor Qin's face was gloomy. Yu Haoran, I really underestimated you. Qin Tianyi, who was forcibly brought to the arena, looked at Yu Haoran, who was indifferent and without the slightest hatred. Her eyes were filled with a complicated expression as she spoke. Qin Tianyi, did the 8-tailed cyan fox leave? Looking at Qin Tianyi indifferently, Yu Haoran did not forget his original warning. He has already left. Qin Tianyi nodded and replied without denying it. That was because according to the agreement they had made in the 9th monastery, they would have a life-and-death battle in the finals. No matter who the final victor was, the loser's soul would scatter. Therefore, there were some things that didn't need to be concealed anymore. Qin Tianyi, can you tell me why you chose them? Qin Tianyi's straightforward answer allowed Yu Haoran to vaguely guess his thoughts, so he didn't rush to ask the doubts in his heart. With Qin Tianyi's pride, if he wanted to regain everything he had lost, there were many forces he could choose from. For example, the Yushu Temple that liked to secretly support various forces, the Shang clan and Zhou clan that were eyeing the southern region covetously, the Blue Dragon and White Tiger clan that had grudges with him, and so on. Then, why did he choose the Green Hill Fox clan that was good at scheming and could suffer a backlash at any time? In the face of Yu Haoran's questioning, Qin Tianyi's eyes suddenly flashed with a trace of tenderness. He shook his head, then took out a high-grade Venerable Realm sword and recovered his cold temperament. Yu Haoran, do it. Tenderness. The change in Qin Tianyi's eyes just now made Yu Haoran somewhat understand why he chose the Green Hill Fox clan. In other words, Qin Tianyi didn't choose the Green Hill Fox clan on his own initiative, but the Green Hill Fox clan had been eyeing Qin Tianyi for a long time. Moreover, if the Green Hill Fox clan was able to use their beauty to force Qin Tianyi to submit, their true goal was probably not just to target him. Thinking of this, Yu Haoran couldn't help but persuade Qin Tianyi. Third Prince, if you can be honest about everything, perhaps I can persuade His Majesty to take back the same fate and let you regain your status as a prince. Yu Haoran, don't cry crocodile tears. Yu Haoran's patient persuasion made Qin Tianyi suddenly recall the various humiliations he had suffered in the imperial clan court after being stripped of his right to inherit the throne and his status as a prince. Originally, because of Yu Haoran's outstanding performance in alchemy and martial arts, a trace of admiration and regret emerged in his heart, but it was instantly replaced by intense resentment. If it wasn't for you, Yu Haoran, Qin Tianyi, wouldn't have lost everything I once had, and wouldn't have left the imperial city to hide in the Sky Marshal Gate's forbidden area. The high-grade Venerable Realm sword in his hand pointed straight at Yu Haoran. Qin Tianyi's eyes gradually turned scarlet as he roared. Yu Haoran, you and I won't rest until one of us is dead. Yu Haoran, his mind has been completely controlled. It's impossible for him to return to the past, so send him on his way. Just as Yu Haoran was still hesitating whether to capture Qin Tianyi alive and give him a chance to choose again, the Thaling in his sea of consciousness reminded him. So that's it. After hearing the Thaling point out that Qin Tianyi's mind had been completely controlled, Yu Haoran finally understood the true intention of the Green Hill Fox clan. They were probably like the Shang clan and the Zhou clan, wanting to recreate the imperial dream of ruling the world in the Middle Ages. While sneering in his heart, he looked at Qin Tianyi with a trace of guilt and reluctance in his eyes. However, in the end, it was replaced by a determined expression. Flatten the world. Ignoring the change in Yu Haoran's expression, Qin Tianyi directly used a high-grade heaven-class sword technique inherited from the Middle Ages and took the lead to attack. This is the Emperor's sword technique passed down by the Shang clan in the Middle Ages. After seeing Qin Tianyi use the high-grade heaven-class sword technique, an ordinary martial venerable expert from the middle of the north side of the stands muttered to himself with a slightly puzzled expression. As a martial venerable expert attached to the Shang clan, he was very familiar with some of the Shang clan's signature martial techniques. Like the sword technique that Qin Tianyi was using, only the Shang clan leader was qualified to cultivate it. If other disciples in the clan secretly cultivated it, even if they were the clan leader's biological son, they would be immediately executed after being discovered. Therefore, he was quite puzzled that Qin Tianyi could use this sword technique. He secretly used a special transmission method to send everything he saw back to the Shang clan, overturning the seas and rivers. At this time, Qin Tianyi was the same as him. His state of mind cultivation, physical grade, origin power, and soul power had all broken through the martial Venerable Realm. The high-grade Venerable Realm sword combined with the high-grade Heaven-class sword technique had reached the strength of an ordinary third-grade martial Venerable. Chapter 1387. Hidden Dragon Fortress on the stage. Boom! The overturning rivers and sea staff technique clashed with the sweeping sword technique. Following that, a violent roar sounded from the stage. Accompanied by the loud roar, Yu Haoran and Qin Tianyi retreated 5 steps at the same time. Following that, the two of them did not stop at all and continued to use the staff technique and sword technique to tear each other apart. This young man, called Qin Tianyi, is not only very powerful, but he's also proficient in many sword techniques from the Middle Ages and recent ages. He should have the strength to rank in the top 10 of the list. Seeing that Qin Tianyi could rely on his own strength and exquisite sword technique to fight with Yu Haoran, a peak-revered martial artist from the north side of the stands commented. No, another peak-revered martial artist shook his head and denied. Not only does this person have the strength to become the champion of the list, but he also has the means to defeat Dan D. After hearing the two peak-revered martial artists' evaluation of Qin Tianyi's strength, Emperor Qin's eyes flashed with a trace of shock. As the son that he once valued the most, Emperor Qin was probably the person who understood Qin Tianyi the most in this world. With Qin Tianyi's talent and temperament, even if the Green Hill Fox clan used the strength of the entire clan to nurture him, it was absolutely impossible for him to have such powerful strength and unfathomable sword technique in such a short period of time. Then, how did Qin Tianyi obtain his current cultivation and strength? Yu Haoran had collected a lot of heaven-ranked martial skills in his previous life, but most of them were only sword skills. There were only a few fist skills and staff skills that were at the early stage of heaven-ranked martial skills. As for the sword techniques that Qin Tianyi mastered and used, the lowest rank was heaven rank high rank. This made Yu Haoran, who only relied on the Monkey Emperor's overturning rivers and seas and the Pear Blossom Storm Staff technique taught by the weapon spirit, to gradually fall into a disadvantage from the beginning. Although he still had the means to continue increasing his origin power and soul power, as well as the transformation of the Witch Ancestor and the dual law of life and death martial skill, he left these means for the stronger Gusheng. They were also his trump cards to become the champion of the 5 regions Hidden Dragon ranking. He couldn't easily use them on Qin Tianyi. Since the staff technique could not defeat Qin Tianyi, then he would change to the fist technique he was best at, using the Pear Blossom Storm to force Qin Tianyi back. Yu Haoran quickly put away the white staff and immediately put on the Supreme Realm best grade glove instrument left by Gu Li. Seeing that Yu Haoran had changed to a higher grade glove, Qin Tianyi also put away the high-grade Venerable Realm Sword and replaced it with a top-grade Venerable Realm Sword. Everyone present knew that the top-grade Venerable Realm Glove instrument came from Gu Li's spoils of war. However, Qin Tianyi could replace it with a top-grade Venerable Realm Sword, which aroused a trace of greed in some of the peerless martial venerables present. After all, in addition to the Venerable Realm magic tools, Qin Tianyi had mastered nearly 6 heaven rank high stage and sword techniques that surpassed the heaven rank. This also meant that he was definitely hiding even more rare treasures on his body. Fists suppressing the earth, ignoring the top-grade Venerable Realm Sword that Qin Tianyi replaced, Yu Haoran directly dispersed the origin power in his Dantian and the soul power in his Sea of Consciousness, leaving only the strength of the Witch Ancestor's body. Then, he used the fist technique that was passed down by the 12 ancient witches, Golden Mouth and Jade Words. Dispersing the origin power and soul power meant that Yu Haoran's strength would be greatly reduced. However, with the help of the top-grade Venerable Realm Glove instrument, the power of the fist technique increased by more than 10 times, reaching the strength of an ordinary peak 4th-grade martial venerable. This made Qin Tianyi feel a little shocked. Although he was shocked, there were a total of 10 sword techniques that were forced into his mind. He quickly found a sword technique that could block and break the fist technique. This is one of the 5 great treasures of the Zhou clan. Only the clan leader is qualified to cultivate the divine-level Saint Judgment sword technique. A peerless peak martial venerable who had a good relationship with Zhou Yu's suddenly stood up and shouted with a shocked expression. Boom! The moment the fist technique and the sword technique collided, a violent roar immediately sounded in the arena. Accompanied by the violent roar, Qin Tianyi, who used the top-grade Venerable Realm Sword again and used the sword technique that surpassed the heaven rank, was forced to take 3 steps back. Yu Haoran, who had directly dispersed his origin power and soul power and only retained the strength of the Witch Ancestor's body, did not take a step back. It seems that I was wrong. The peerless peak martial venerable who once predicted that Qin Tianyi had the ability to defeat Yu Haoran commented again with a solemn expression when he saw that Yu Haoran could only rely on the grade of his body and fist technique to defeat Qin Tianyi, who exerted a stronger strength. I always thought that Pill Emperor Yu's strongest martial technique should be the staff technique. Now it seems that not only is he suppressing his own strength, but he has also been hiding his best martial technique. The final ranking of the Hidden Dragon ranking battle was related to how much Hidden Dragon luck could be added. Every contestant wanted to be able to unleash their own strength so that they could win the battle as soon as possible. However, Yu Haoran did the opposite. Not only was he suppressing his own strength, but he also hid his best martial technique. This showed that he had sufficient confidence in his own strength. Therefore, even though Yu Haoran's cultivation had not broken through to the martial venerable realm, he already had the courage and confidence of a peerless peak martial venerable. After repelling Qin Tianyi with a punch, Yu Haoran did not stop at all. He continued to use the second fist technique from the 12 witch ancestors' memory inheritance. Fist breaking the heavens, wholly reaching the world. Qin Tianyi, who had a slightly solemn expression, also used the second sword technique of the holy judgment sword technique. Boom! Accompanied by a deafening roar, Qin Tianyi was forced back 7 steps this time, unlike Yu Haoran, who continued to remain motionless. Fist shattering the Star River. Yu Haoran still did not stop at all and continued to use the third fist technique. Imperial decree illuminating the world. Qin Tianyi also did not hesitate to continue to use the third sword technique. After the collision of the fist technique and the sword technique, Yu Haoran still stood there without moving. Not only was Qin Tianyi directly forced back 9 steps, but a trace of blood also flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Qin Tianyi knew that Yu Haoran would not stop at all. He did not care about wiping the remaining blood from the corner of his mouth. He directly used the last move of the Holy Judgment Sword technique, which was also the most powerful move. He hoped that he could turn the tables with this. Emperor descends. Accompanied by Qin Tianyi's violent roar, the top-grade Venerable Realm sword that was thrown into the air was instantly enveloped by a white sword light. After the white sword light merged with the sword, the top-grade Venerable Realm sword disappeared. It was replaced by a middle-aged man with a dignified appearance and extraordinary temperament. He had a strong emperor's aura. The founder of the Zhou dynasty in the Middle Ages, the Emperor of Zhou, who is known as the world's first holy emperor. This was the cry of a peerless martial venerable from the north stands. Chapter 1388. In the arena of the hidden dragon fortress. Whether it was Zhou Tianzi or Zhou Jijia, Yu Haoran chose to turn a blind eye to them and continued to perform the fourth fist technique of the ancient 12 ancestral witches' memory inheritance. Fist devouring immortals. Accompanied by Yu Haoran's roar, Zhou Jijia's fist technique, which was rushing into the air, gradually formed shadow. It was an abnormally burly shadow, but its appearance could not be seen clearly. Just as a shadow formed by the fist technique appeared, Zhou Jijia, who was condensed from the supreme-grade Venerable Realm magic weapon, and Gu Sheng, who suddenly opened his eyes, were shocked. Where the sacred sovereign is, all the gods shall make way. Zhou Jijia, who was condensed from the supreme-grade Venerable Realm magic weapon, quickly calmed down and pointed at the shadow formed by the fist technique. The shadow, which was instantly pierced through between his eyebrows, paused for a moment and then continued to attack Zhou Jijia. Zhou Jijia, whose expression changed slightly, performed the same finger technique 3 times in a row. Where the sacred sovereign is, all the gods shall make way. Every time his eyebrows were pierced, the shadow formed by the fist technique would pause for a moment and then continue to charge at Zhou Jijia without any reduction in speed. After 3 finger techniques, the shadow formed by the fist technique had rushed in front of Zhou Jijia and then landed heavily on his chest. Puff! As Zhou Jijia was completely shattered by the fist technique shadow, Qin Tianyi, who was in the arena, suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and his face instantly became much paler. Ignoring Qin Tianyi's spitting of blood, Yu Haoran did not stop and continued to perform the 5th fist technique. Yu Haoran, did you think that I would lose after my strongest sword technique was defeated just now? Facing Yu Haoran's unrelenting attack, Qin Tianyi roared with a slightly ferocious expression. Then, a green foxtail appeared in his hand. He punched his chest with his right fist and spat out a mouthful of blood essence on the foxtail. As the blood essence merged into the green foxtail, a green fox with a height of 100 meters and 8 huge tails appeared in the arena. Substitute the plum for the peach. Fowling suddenly laughed and teased when he saw the green foxtail turn into an 8-tailed green fox. Yu Haoran, it seems that the Green Hill Foxes hate you so much that they're willing to lower their own ranks in order to take your life. The 8-tailed cyan fox is a venerable level exotic beast, equivalent to a martial venerable level expert. Looks like I have no choice but to use my full strength. Ignoring Thaling's teasing, Howren muttered to himself with a grave expression. He planned to use the transformation of the ancestral wizard and the life and death dual law martial technique. But at this moment, Thaling suddenly reminded, Howren, there's no need for you to do it yourself. This eight-tailed green fox is dead for sure. Why? Howren asked, puzzled. The eight-tailed cyan fox isn't Qin Tiany's pet beast, so it doesn't belong to Qin Tiany's own strength. Then, how can the 6 venerables of the Hidden Dragon Fortress ignore the existence that broke the rules of the competition? Thaling explained with a smile. Although Thaling's explanation did not allow him to immediately transform into the ancestral wizard, the Rui Bell that had merged with his body and the fist technique that he was prepared to attack at any time meant that he did not let his guard down. Junior, return the treasure of my Green Hill foxes immediately. The 8-tailed cyan fox that had completed its transformation yelled sternly while swinging its 8 huge tails. Bang! Facing the 8-tailed cyan fox's yell, before Howren could open his mouth to refute, the purple-robed middle-aged expert in midair suddenly slapped the armrest of the dragon throne and yelled furiously. Reckless animal, how dare you break the rules of the Hidden Dragon ranking battle? I think you're tired of living. If you dare to insult my Green Hill foxes again, believe it or not, I'll kill you directly and then destroy the city. The 8-tailed cyan fox looked up at the purple-robed middle-aged expert with a gloomy chill in its eyes and threatened murderously. Faced with the 8-tailed cyan fox's reckless threat, the purple-robed middle-aged expert could not help but laugh loudly. Faced with the purple-robed middle-aged expert's laughter, the 8-tailed cyan fox began to think about whether to kill Howren first to take back the family treasure or destroy the purple-robed middle-aged expert and destroy the Hidden Dragon Fortress first. Qinghu, let alone the fact that your Green Hill foxes can only survive in the Green Hill Mountains. Even if you were at your peak during the Middle Ages, you would not have the right to strut around in the Hidden Dragon Fortress. The purple-robed middle-aged expert who suddenly stopped laughing suddenly stood up and walked toward the 8-tailed cyan fox in the air while speaking arrogantly. Is that so? Faced with the purple-robed middle-aged expert's arrogant counterattack, the 8-tailed cyan fox clearly did not believe it and finally decided to kill the purple-robed middle-aged expert first, destroy the Hidden Dragon Fortress, and then capture Howren alive and return to the Green Hill Mountains. Since it had made up its mind, the 8-tailed cyan fox was not a hesitant exotic beast. The 8 giant tails behind it smashed toward the purple-robed middle-aged expert like 8 mountains. Howren, it seems like this 8-tailed cyan fox is an old fellow who has been in hibernation for countless years. His thoughts are still stuck at the peak of the Green Hill foxes. Howren could not see the 8-tailed cyan fox's true strength, but Thaling could see it clearly. The early 7th level martial venerable realm cultivation. Not to mention the purple-robed middle-aged expert. Any of the 5 long-robed martial venerables behind him could easily defeat the 8-tailed cyan fox, let alone the purple-robed middle-aged expert who had the strength of a peak 9th level martial venerable. That was why Thaling had made such a guess. Before the 8-tailed cyan fox attacked, the purple-robed middle-aged expert was like Howren. He could not tell its true strength. After all, the 8-tailed cyan fox in front of him had a long history. Its aura was like the sea turning into mulberry fields, completely concealing its true strength. However, the moment the 8-tailed cyan fox attacked with its tails, the purple-robed middle-aged expert who had been on high alert immediately relaxed. The purple-robed middle-aged expert said to Howren with a smile as he flicked out 8 powerful fingers to knock away the 8-tailed cyan fox. Pill Emperor Yu, I'm really sorry. This 8-tailed cyan fox is an existence that is ruining the competition. As the person in charge of the Hidden Dragon ranking battle, I have the duty and responsibility to destroy it. Amethyst Elder, you don't have to pay attention to me. Just do it. From the 8-tailed cyan fox's terrifying energy fluctuations when it attacked with its tails, Yu Haoran knew that it was a top martial venerable realm exotic beast. Even if he used all his strength, he would not be able to defeat the eight-tailed cyan fox. Therefore, in the face of the purple-robed, middle-aged expert's goodwill, he quickly smiled and replied, "Cyan fox, seeing how you were so proud of me just now, I thought that you were a peak third tribulation almighty expert like Emperor Wu. I didn't expect you to be just a seventh-level martial venerable realm ant." The purple-robed, middle-aged expert mocked disdainfully as he continued to use his fingers to knock away the eight-tailed cyan fox. Chapter 1389. In the Arena of the Hidden Dragon Fortress. The eight-tailed cyan fox knew that it was no match for the purple-robed middle-aged man, who could easily deflect its full-powered attack with just a casual flick of his finger. However, not only did it not show the slightest fear, but it also commanded in a condescending manner, "You're indeed very strong. I'm no match for you. I'll let you and this city go for now." Then, the eight-tailed cyan fox continued to look at Yu Haoran and continued to threaten him. "Boy, if you don't want to be smashed in a meat paste by my giant tail, hand over the treasure of my Green Hill clan immediately." They were stunned, not to mention the purple-robed middle-aged man and the spectators in the stands. Even Qin Tianyi, who quietly entered the arena with the cyan foxtail, was stunned. Could this be the Green Hill Fox clan that was known for their scheming and crafty schemes? If the Green Hill Fox clan were all like this eight-tailed cyan fox, then how blind would I be to choose to side with them? Amethyst Elder, are you going to attack or not? The eight-tailed cyan fox, who had been immersed in the peak of the Green Hill Fox clan, instinctively thought that the purple-robed middle-aged man would not dare to hurt it. Therefore, Yu Haoran, who was the only one present who was not stunned, could not help but remind the purple-robed middle-aged man when faced with the eight-tailed cyan fox's threat. "Thank you for your reminder, Pill Emperor Yu." The purple-robed middle-aged man who came back to his senses hurriedly thanked Yu Haoran, then appeared in front of the eight-tailed cyan fox in a flash with a gloomy expression and slapped it out of the arena with a palm technique. "Damn it, how dare you hurt me?" The eight-tailed cyan fox, who was instantly injured, shouted in disbelief. However, the purple-robed middle-aged man did not pay attention to its question at all. He disappeared from where he was and instantly appeared behind the eight-tailed cyan fox, slapping it back into the arena with a palm technique. "Damn it. Looks like our Qin Xiu clan has been lurking for far too long. To think that you damned lowly creatures have forgotten the difference between nobility and inferiority." The eight-tailed green fox roared with fury as it spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood in succession. The information revealed by the eight-tailed green fox's roar made the faces of some of the powerhouses who were familiar with the situation of the ancient and Middle Ages turn gloomy. When the ancient divine beasts ruled the world, humans were just the most delicious food in the eyes of the demonic beasts. They didn't even have the qualifications to be ranked. In the ancient times when the gods and demons ruled the world, although humans could be ranked among the 3, 6, and 9 classes of creatures, they were slaves of the lowest class. Their lives and deaths were completely out of their control. During the Middle Ages, although humans were able to turn the tables and become slaves, that was only for the top nobles. Ordinary martial artists were still unable to escape the fate of being slaves. It wasn't until the late ancient era that the human race finally broke free from their lowly fate and became the true masters of the continent. The purple-robed, middle-aged man instantly appeared on the platform, and a cold light appeared in his eyes as he unleashed another palm strike, slapping the eight-tailed green fox into the air again. "Damned human, if you still want to live on, if you still want to protect this city, stop immediately." The purple-robed, middle-aged man's 3 palm strikes had not only dealt a devastating blow to the internal organs of the eight-tailed green fox, but also caused cracks to appear in its demon field and sea of consciousness. This caused it to panic uncontrollably. However, even in a state of panic, the eight-tailed green fox still threatened in an extremely tough manner. In response, The purple-robed, middle-aged powerhouse instantly slapped it back into the arena with a palm technique in midair. In an instant, the purple-robed, middle-aged man appeared on the platform again and slapped it back into the air again. After bouncing back and forth 9 times like a ball, the 8-tailed green fox's huge body finally slammed heavily into the platform, forming an extremely violent roar. Its internal organs were shattered into powder, its blood vessels and meridians were all broken, and its demonic field and sea of consciousness had already collapsed. Even after suffering such a devastating blow, as a demonic beast that was fundamentally different from exotic beasts, the 8-tailed green fox was still not completely dead. Looking at the purple-robed, middle-aged man with a gaze filled with hatred, the 8-tailed green fox still maintained its tough attitude before its death. Damned human, when my Green Hill Fox clan unifies the world, it will be the day you humans are completely wiped out. Although the people present did not take the 8-tailed green fox's threat to heart, through its subconscious attitude towards humans, they knew that the Green Hill Fox clan, a demonic beast clan that had been passed down since ancient times and the Middle Ages, still had the heart to wipe out humans. Unfortunately, although everyone present wanted nothing more than to immediately wipe out these damned demonic beasts and exotic beasts, the deep-rooted bad habits of humans made them only think about it in their hearts. It was also because of the deep-rooted bad habits of humans that humans almost faced the crisis of extinction in the near future. Amethyst Elder, can I use pills to exchange for this 8-tailed green fox's corpse? Howren, who did not have any worries about his innate worries, immediately had his attention drawn to the 8-tailed green fox's huge corpse in front of him. The Green Hill Fox clan was the same as the Wind-tailed Fox. They were also passed down from one of the 9 great divine beast kings of ancient times, the 9-tailed celestial fox. However, the bloodline of the Green Hill Fox clan later on mutated, causing them to lose some of the original characteristics of their ancestor, the 9-tailed celestial fox, while possessing the distinctive characteristics of their clan. However, the 9-tailed celestial fox's bloodline that flowed in their blood could never be removed. Therefore, the 7-tailed wind-tailed fox that had reached the peak of the 9th level of the Sage Realm would definitely be able to ascend to the Exalted Realm if it could devour the 9-tailed celestial fox's bloodline that belonged to the ancestor of the 9-tailed celestial fox. It's just the corpse of an exotic beast. If Pill Emperor Yu is interested, feel free to take it. Faced with Howren's request, the purple-robed middle-aged man hurriedly waved his hand and said with a rather polite smile, "Thank you, Amethyst Elder." Faced with Amethyst Elder's goodwill, Howren did not hold back at all as he thanked him. Then, he put the 8-tailed green fox's corpse into an empty storage ring and wrapped it in yuan qi before sending it to Kong Yunga. Jingya, after the Southern Region's Hidden Dragon ranking competition ends, let Little Feng refine the 9-tailed celestial fox's bloodline in the 8-tailed green fox's body. It will definitely be able to ascend to the Exalted Realm as the 8-tailed wind-tailed fox. Senior brother, thank you. After receiving the storage ring without any hesitation, Kong Yunga was overjoyed and hurriedly thanked him. In fact, even if Howren did not take the initiative to give it to her, Kong Yunga would have taken the initiative to remind him to help her ask for the 8-tailed green fox's corpse. Chapter 1390. Hidden Dragon Fortress on the Arena. You're welcome. After smiling and nodding in response to Kong Yunga's gratitude, Howren turned his head to look at Qin Tianyi, who had been standing at the edge of the arena. When he was about to continue to perform the inherited fist technique of the 12 ancestral witches to completely defeat and kill the opponent, Qin Tianyi suddenly spoke with a smile. Howren, after killing the 8-tailed green fox with the help of others, do you think that you have already won? Do you think that my life and death is all in your hands? Oh, Qin Tianyi's confident look immediately aroused Howren's interest. He temporarily stopped performing the fist technique to mobilize the physical strength of the ancestral witches and asked with a smile, then I don't know what trump card you have to turn the tables. Everyone says that you Howren, have trump cards and means that no one can see through. Then today, let's have a competition to see who has the most trump cards and means. While replying to you Howren's inquiry, Qin Tianyi took out a pill bottle made of mysterious ice. Without hesitation, she opened the pill bottle and poured out a drop of blood essence that exuded a strong, evil aura. This is the blood essence of the blood, evil, sky-devouring python. After seeing the blood essence that Qin Tianyi poured out, Thowling in the sea of consciousness suddenly shouted with excitement. Thowling, could it be the blood, evil, sky-devouring python that contains the bloodline of the ancient divine beasts Torch Dragon and Kirin? After hearing Thowling pointing out the origin of the blood essence in Qin Tianyi's hand, the image of a powerful beast that looked like a python, but not a python, like a dragon, but not a dragon, like a Kirin, but not a Kirin appeared in Yu Howren's mind. That's right, it's the blood evil, sky-devouring python that contains the bloodline of these two ancient divine beasts. While nodding to confirm, Thowling's tone was full of joy. Yu Howren, I was originally worried that even with the help of the huge hidden dragon luck, you wouldn't be able to smoothly control the dual laws of life and death. After all, the laws of life and the laws of death are ranked in the top 10 among the myriad of laws. Not only is it extremely difficult to successfully comprehend the laws of life and the laws of death, it's even more difficult to increase one's level of control and assimilation. Now, with the blood fiend heaven-devouring python's blood essence, not only will you be able to easily control the laws of life and death, but you'll also be able to increase the level of your control over the laws. It'll help you break through to a higher realm when you become a martial saint. Although Yu Howren really wanted to know why the blood fiend heaven-devouring python's blood essence could help him control the laws of life and death, after Qin Tianyi directly swallowed the blood fiend heaven-devouring python's blood essence and displayed the exotic beast transformation secret technique that made him famous in the past, Yu Howren could only suppress the doubts in his heart for the time being and take out a drop of blood essence that emitted faint divine might. Roar! Accompanied by a deafening roar, Qin Tianyi, who had swallowed the blood essence of the blood fiend heaven-devouring python, quickly turned into a 1,000-meter-long exotic beast with a dragon's body, a snake's head, and an ox's tail. It gave people an ugly and fierce feeling. This is one of the 10 great ferocious beasts of the Middle Ages, the blood fiend sky-devouring python. A white-haired old man from the east side cried out involuntarily when he saw the ugly exotic beast with a dragon's body and a huge snake's head sticking out its long tongue. Although the top 10 ferocious beasts of the Middle Ages couldn't be compared with the top 10 ferocious beasts of the ancient times, each of them had reached the peak of the god realm. Although Qin Tianyi had only swallowed the blood essence of a blood fiend heaven-devouring python that was only at the peak of the second rank of the martial venerable realm, his true strength had reached the peak of the fourth rank of the martial venerable realm due to the secret technique that allowed him to retain all his strength after transforming, as well as the strength of a ferocious beast that was far stronger than a ferocious beast or human cultivator. The cultivation of a peak 4th grade martial honorable was equivalent to a normal peak 8th grade martial honorable. So, when they saw the blood fiend heaven-devouring python occupying the arena, a portion of the participants in the central plaza couldn't help but laugh bitterly. No matter how terrifying Qin Tianyi's strength was after transforming into the blood fiend heaven-devouring python, to the participants who were ranked at the bottom of the ranking list, it was nothing more than a matter of going up the arena and admitting defeat. However, to the participants who were ranked at the top of the ranking list, especially those who were ranked in the top 10, it was easy to imagine how depressed they were. The final ranking of the Hidden Dragon rank competition was directly related to how much of the Hidden Dragon luck each contestant received. The higher the ranking, the more Hidden Dragon luck one would receive. In the end, the benefits one could obtain from using the Hidden Dragon luck would be greater. Moreover, the Hidden Dragon luck obtained by the top 10 top 3, and final champion was not only different in quantity compared to the hidden dragon luck obtained by the participants who were ranked at the bottom of the ranking list, but there was also a difference in quality. Gu Sheng, who possessed the ancestral bloodline transformation, Wu Zhengjun, whose strength had increased by leaps and bounds due to the advancement of the blood-devouring artifact, the sword without trace, who could form his own terrifying formation sword, and Yu Haoran, whose depths no one knew, had basically locked in the top 4 of the ranking list in advance. Now, there was another Qin Tianyi, who could use the blood essence of exotic beasts to transform into the blood fiend heaven-devouring python. Not only could she lock in the top 4 of the ranking list, she also had the terrifying strength to attack the top 3. This made the few participants who originally had the ability to attack the top 3 and the top 10 feel depressed and helpless. Fortunately, Yu Haoran, Qin Tianyi, and Gu Sheng all had an endless hatred for each other. In the end, one of them would definitely fall. This made the depression in their hearts slightly lessen. The participants in the central square were worried about their final rankings. The spectators in the square were worried about whether Yu Haoran could deal with Qin Tianyi, who had transformed into the blood fiend heaven-devouring python. After all, when Yu Haoran agreed to the purple-clothed, middle-aged expert's deal, he had specifically mentioned that after the final competition, he would break through to the Pill Emperor realm in the Hidden Dragon Fortress. Other than wanting to witness the birth of a Pill Emperor, everyone present also wanted to take the opportunity to ask Yu Haoran to help refine some urgently needed top-notch pills. Therefore, they didn't want to see any accidents happen to him. When the countless experts in the spectator stands looked at Yu Haoran, who had just swallowed the blood essence that emitted a faint divine might, also successfully completed the transformation of exotic beast blood essence. Ayo! Accompanied by a roar that resounded through the sky, Yu Haoran, who was standing on the stage, turned into a 100-meter-tall, handsome, exotic beast. This is the ancient divine beast Kirin that symbolizes good fortune. The white-haired old man, who had pointed out that Qin Tianyi had transformed into the blood fiend heaven-devouring python, once again pointed out the origin of the handsome, exotic beast after Yu Haoran transformed. That's not right. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.